Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Novato Unified School District's Board of Trustee meeting. If you'd all please stand and join me with the pledge. All right. Thanks again for everyone coming tonight. We're going to go on to our next order of business, which is an announcement of reportable action taken in closed session. And Vice President Cooper.
Thank you. We had two items we discussed in closed session. First was discussion with labor negotiators, Chris Koska, Assistant Superintendent, Human Resources Employees Organization, Novato Federation of Teachers. That was a discussion item. The second item, C, we also had discussion with labor negotiators, once again, Chris Koska, Assistant Superintendent, Human Resources Employee Organization, California School Employees Association. And item D, we skipped. We didn't have an item D. That's it.
All right. Thank you very much. So our next action item is approval of the agenda. So I want to ask the board if I have a motion to accept tonight's agenda. I have a first from Trustee Aguila and a second from Trustee Butler. So all those in favor, 6-4, and we have one absent. And I'll just make a note that Trustee Shelley Scott is away and couldn't be here tonight. So with having the approval of the agenda out of the way, the next item is any public comment on our consent agenda. I don't see any public comment on the consent agenda, so I'll ask the board if there are, for approval on the consent agenda or any items you would like to have pulled for discussion. Trustee Mack.
Did you want to?
It's F.
Mr. President?
Yes, Trustee Cooper.
Trying to find it here. I'd like to, oh, there's item F. I'd like to pull item F.
Okay, so I have a motion to pull item F. Are there any other items that would like to be discussed? Okay, so having that, I would entertain a motion to accept the consent agenda without item F.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, could I have a second, please? Trustee Mildrick has seconded that. So all those in favor of accepting the consent agenda without item F? Seeing 6 affirmative and 1 absent. So thank you for that, everyone. All right, next, our next item on the agenda are our presentations tonight, and we have a celebratory evening planned here on these next few items, and so glad that we're doing this tonight and look forward to hearing from everyone. Our first presenter is Steve Hospodar, principal of Hamilton K through 8. Is Steve ready? Let's him on the phone now. He's up front. You want to cover it, or I can't cover it. Okay. Do we so maybe what we'll do is we'll have Superintendent Hogaboom address the issue, or we could reorder it if they're not ready. You want to reorder it? Okay. Okay, so we'll move on to item B, Special Administrator Recognition, Administrator of the Year for the District 3 California Continuation Education Association. Our Superintendent, Jim Hogaboom, will present the issue.
Thank you, President Nell. So it gives me great pleasure tonight to Anna Kessa Early, who was named District 3 Administrator of the Year by the California Continuation Education Association. Wait, stay up here, stay up here. Whoa. You get to say a little bit more than that. Jeez. So I think it's a wonderful event when somebody is just in the right place at the right time. And I think that's totally true with Kessa. She is very passionate about the students she has at her school. She loves kids and they love her, and she is, again, just in the right place at the right time, and I can't think of a better person to be where she is. So having said that, I'll say a few other things. So the California Continuation Education Association recognizes individuals and programs that stand above their peers in providing excellence to students in California's continuation high schools. So KESA currently has students in grades 10 to 12 that have been unsuccessful in the traditional high school setting. She has been with Marin Oaks for 9 years and 14 years at Novato Unified School District. The mission of Marin Oaks is to provide a small learning environment that fosters a collaborative culture, focusing on credit recovery and academics to help build the bridge to post-secondary education. Marin Oaks serves approximately 105 students each year and graduate around 45 students on average. More than 90% of the students, graduates, further their education by attending a 2 or 4 year college or vocational school. Growing up in Novato and graduating from Novato High School, Ms. Early currently lives in Novato and has 2 children in the Novato schools, as well as one who graduated from Novato High in 2015. She attended Sonoma State University and is truly a local girl. I feel honored to have been recognized for doing work that I truly love. Working in alternative education is my absolute passion, and as I said, I think that's totally clear. So I'd like to read a couple other things, one from a teacher. After having taught for 25 years and having worked for several principals, I would rank KESA as one of the best. She is efficient, organized, and cares very much about her staff, and more importantly, about her students. KESA is kind but firm and has very high standards. She is always open to listening and helping in any situation. She is quick to acknowledge a job well done or an extra effort made by a staff member or student. She is a great asset to Novato Unified and the Hill staff and students. And kind of coincidentally, this is cool, on April 19th, I received a letter from Mr. and Mrs. Howard Jean Rogers. I'd like to read a couple things from that as well. I'm writing this letter of commendation now because my last child will be graduating. I wanted to convey my experience with a particular person whom I feel was the most pivotal in our experience getting a difficult grandchild educated and graduated. He is now on his way to technical school that fits his needs. He would never have been able to navigate to further education without her influence. Mrs. Early's effective discipline and direction helped us through this terrible time. She must be recognized for her absolute attention to my child as well as many others. Nothing was left undone or noticed by her watchful, direct, and loving attention for every student there. I witnessed miracles with children who may have been swept under the carpet by the large system. She made sure that she fit him with the proper wonderful teachers who saw to his particular strengths and weaknesses. He learned so much there and will take this information to adulthood with pride that he graduated when we honestly had very little hope. Mrs. Early is professional and exemplifies leadership that goes way beyond any expectation of a school principal. The children at that school are considered extremely difficult, but with her get the job done motto, they knew they had no choice but to do it. Obviously, she loves what she does and expects the best child is capable of doing. They respected her, and it was no nonsense approach, but at the same time, compassionate care for everyone. I wish we had more leaders who committed themselves the same. I'm so thankful that I wanted to let you know that we had more like her. It would be perfect school district. So I thought that pretty well sums up how amazingly great you are. So introduce your husband and kids are here, and thank you so much.
I want to say hello to my husband, Daniel Early, and my 3 children are here. Gavin, Kylie, and Tanea, thank you for coming to support me. I was not planning on speaking, so I just want to say this is a huge honor, and I absolutely do love what I do, and working with my students and the staff that I have is an incredible experience each and every day. And so to be recognized for doing something that you're passionate about is it's overwhelming. So, and those words were really touching, and I did not know I was going to cry tonight, but thank you very much.
There you go.
Mr. President, before she walks away, Kessa. So, I would like to make a couple of comments. 14 years ago, I was walking down the hallway at Novato High on a Saturday just wondering, because school was going to start, it was summertime, and I ran into you and your husband, and he was helping you move into your health class for the very first class you were going to teach at Novato. And you were excited about education there. You've served Novato High for, I think, 5 years, and you transferred over to take the principalship at Marin Oaks. I have not missed a graduation of your class in 10 years. The things that you do with the team you put together that makes life possible for those kids to allow them to go beyond high school and become a contributing member in society is amazing. I am honored to serve with you. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Just a quick comment, Kessa. I know you left, but you've touched so many kids in this district, and we're so proud of you, and I've known you for a long, long time. You are amazing. Thank you.
Trustee Aguila.
And I think it's wonderful how you wear so many different hats and you're able to be successful at all those roles. So thank you.
Thank you, trustees Milrick, Cooper, and Aguila I'm sure that for speaking for the board. We're all very happy for you and are honored by your work here. All right, I have to move on. Our next agenda item is C, which is board recognition of retirees and employees with 25 plus years of service. It's a bit of a bittersweet moment for everyone, but we'll have our Assistant Superintendent, Chris Koska, set up presentations.
All right, so President Nell, if you'd come and help me with this presentation, that would be wonderful. Maybe we'll set these over here.
You can stand over there. I'm sure Leslie will tell us what to do.
I'd be happy to.
So one thing that Jim has charged me with is sort of revitalizing some programs that honor employees that have worked here over time. This is my first year serving in the district, so I'm pleased to be here and to be working on this. We're going to do something tonight. We're going to honor all of our 25-year employees or employees with 25 years or more of service. So I'm guessing that some of you people that are going to get a 25-year pin tonight might have already gotten a 25-year pin, but I'm hoping you'll like this one more. And then we're going to continue to build out that program over time. So I'm going to start by calling up our 25-year winners. President Nell is going to give you your pin, and Ms. Benjamin's going to take a picture of you with President Nell as soon as she gets done with that important message she's sending right now. I'm sure it was going to the Marin Independent Journal. So first person we're going to honor tonight is Diane Lawton. And Diane, if you could go hang out down by Jane, we're going to get a picture of everybody at the end. Next, Diane, 28 years of service, by the way. Elizabeth Dunleavy, 26 years of service. We'll figure this out before we get too far. With 25 years, just making the cut, Francine Rosoff. 32 years of service, Heidi Mortensen. "35 years of service, Jacqueline Barnes. With 26 years of service, Kelly Mitchell. And with 40 years of service, Linda Levere. They must have had different roles to start teaching back then or something. With 29 years of service, Lindsay Little. Twenty-five, 27 years of service, Mark Whitburn. With 38 years of service, Martha Kane. Uh, 27 years of service, Pamela Stutzman. With 38 years of service, Patricia Bacon. With 29 years of service, Shirley Rodriguez. With 30 years of service, Stephanie Ortega Kennison. And finally, 27 years of service, Thelma Petrikopoulos. So we got a couple more. George Bosquet, 27 years of service. And with more than 25 years of service, we have Paula Freeman. Yay! Do we have anybody else? Anybody? Come on up. What's your first name? Francis Zerby, 38 years. All right. So thank you, everybody. There are a number of other people that were unable to attend, and we'll be mailing out their pins to them. But thank you to everybody who was able to make it tonight. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to honor people who are separating from the district, people who are retiring after many years of service. I have a little bit that I'm going to read about each person, then we're going to have them come up, and we just practiced this whole picture-taking, handshaking thing, so we got it dialed in. So we're going to start with Fedlin Cloriston, who is custodian at Hamilton. He was originally self-employed with his own janitorial service. He's worked in food service and as a custodian. He was hired by us as a custodian in 1997 at Hamilton School, where he's served ever since. So, Fedlin, are you here? Hey, come on up. We have next retiree is Margarita Da Silva, who's a fan site assistant. She works at Loma Verde, and she started as a sub in fans in March of 2009 and has been working for us ever since, and she has 7 years of service. So Margarita, come on down. Lynn Dragonette. So Lynn is my executive assistant in human resources. So this is very bittersweet for me. She's done a lot of things outside of our district. She was the art director and production coordinator for Presidio Press for 20 years. She's been self-employed doing design work on books. She was hired as the office manager at San Jose Middle School in March of 2006 and became the executive assistant in human resources in August of 2014. So she's been with us for 10 years, and she's been saving my bacon for the last 7 months. So thank you so much, Lynn. Susan Gerardo, payroll technician. So Susan works in business services. She was a payroll tech from 1995 to 97. She's worked at lots of different payroll positions for Mosaica Education, Marin General Hospital, City of Novato, and we were lucky enough that she got to come back to us in August of 2013. So she worked with us for 6 years. Catherine Gallopin, math teacher at San Marin. So Catherine received her Bachelor's of Science in Engineering and Geophysics from University of Montreal, Canada. She's worked as a project geophysicist and senior geophysicist for 18 years there. Worked in private industry here in Novato. Got her math credential through Sonoma State in 2000. And has been working with us ever since at San Marin, 16 years of service. All right, Madeline Martin, from Lou Sutton, earned her bachelor's degree from College of Worcester, and then she went to San Diego State, go Aztecs. Taught preschool in New Jersey, was an elementary school counselor in New Jersey, taught kindergarten in San Diego, was hired here in 1998 as an elementary teacher at Lou Sutton. She received Golden Bell recognition in 2002, so 18 at Novato Unified School District. And Nancy Thomas, social studies teacher at Novato High School, graduated from University of Wisconsin-Madison. Yeah, I knew somebody'd be on the Badgers there. 1985 U.S. Cycling Federation National Road and Track Championship qualifier and bronze medal winner. Taught history, science, and social studies over 9 years at Rancho Mirage, Berkeley, and Vallejo before coming to NUSD in August of 2000 to teach social studies at Novato High School. 16 years at Novato Unified plus 9 outside. Congratulations. So we have one more retiree. So Kelly Mitchell, will you please come forward? And I'm sorry I don't have a little bio about you. I could make stuff up. I'll put Derek on the mic. Congratulations, Kelly. Yeah, we'll Photoshop you in. So again, I want to congratulate everybody who was able to make it tonight with 25 more years of service, or our retirees. Congratulations to you all. Those of you who are still with us, that'd be the 25-year people, except Kelly Mitchell. Let's keep on fighting the good fight. To those of you who are retiring, wish you all the best. Thank you.
Okay. Bittersweet. And congratulations and thank you to everyone. All right, we're going to go back to item A, 10A, which is a special student recognition of Novato's Rotary Laws of Life essay contest. First place winner for middle school students, and Superintendent Jim Hogeboom will present.
Thank you, President Nell. So this is an extremely competitive competition, and we take great pride in writing in our district. So I would like to call up John Flores, who's a 7th grader at Hamilton. Come on up, John. So the title of the essay contest was Laws of Life Essay Contest, and John wrote about never giving up. He's going to tell you just a little bit about his essay. So go ahead, John.
My essay was about when my dad left and how it had a big impact on my life. And, how it had like an impact when, because I love soccer and I play soccer every day. So when he left, I stopped playing soccer because I gave up. And I got bored after a while of not playing soccer, so I started playing soccer and I knew to not give up.
So thank you. Hang on. So John actually won $300 for his essay, so I don't have that, but I have a certificate to In-N-Out Burger, so you'll have to be satisfied with that. So congratulations. There you go.
Okay, so with that, we're going to bring it back to the board with item 11, which is announcements by the board, superintendent, and student board members. So we'll turn it over to our student board members. Jane Williams.
So the tour of Novato was last weekend, and we, like San Marin, raised over $10,000. And the spring musical, Once Upon a Mattress, is, I think this weekend is the last showings of it. And on last Friday, I attended like a group session with Superintendent Hogeboom at San Marin, and we like discussed like student opinions on like improving like engagement and making stuff more equitable, stuff like that. So
last Friday was our very first splash night. It was a lot of fun and very successful. And May 21st is our senior prom.
So this weekend I helped with a tour in Novato. I get the loadout job, it turns out. That seems to be, they figured out that's a good job for me. Earlier in the day, the Indian Valley College of Marin had an open house. The president took tours, a group of people on tours of the campus, and they talked about the additional programs that will be available to Novato through that program. In addition, as we all know on this board, the Compass program and the Mandarin program being taught at Novato High School, and the and the other connections to the College of Marin, where the opportunity for our kids to start in our schools at kindergarten and be able to complete the first 2 years of their college tuition free if they participate in the program through the College of Marin, allows our students to have a leg up in college education and be able to combat some of the high cost of college. So it was a good event, and we're looking forward to continuing participation by the college with this district in terms of making opportunities for our kids.
All right, thank you. Trustee Aguila?
Yeah, I too helped with the tour of Novato, and very grateful for all the people that were there and helping, and everybody, had to put their little piece of sand, a grind of sand, and so it was very successful, and it was just wonderful to see everybody get together and work on this.
All right, thank you.
I did Blue Sutton had their open house. I attended that, and North Marin Council had their year-end celebration last night, and I was able to attend that at San Ramon. They held it there, and it was nice. They gave out some awards, which they do every year, and Leslie Benjamin received the honorary administrator award, which was nice, and she was surprised, so it was great. They also highlighted a couple families in the community, which I haven't seen them do before. And offhand, I can't remember exactly. But it was nice. It was families that have given back to Novato, and they honored them as well. Hamilton received the Golden Ribbon Award. I know we've heard all of that. I was able to attend the ceremony for that in the last week and a half was that ceremony. And ROTC had their awards night. I was able to go to that, and that's always nice to see the accomplishments of the kids and earn their rankings for their next ranking and scholarships as well.
Trustee Mack?
I want to thank everybody for covering for me while I've been gone. I'm traveling a lot. Thank you for covering during the tour of Novato. I was really disappointed I couldn't participate. I've actually ridden in it a number of times. So I wish I was there, but did attend a review session for the CEQA consultants, which was very educational. I think we made a great selection. We'll talk more about that later tonight. And other than that, I have nothing else.
Trustee Cooper?
So I was able to attend the solar meeting, the final solar meeting at Novato High School. Our consultant and staff did a great job of presenting that, and I think we're moving forward with that at that site. ROTC awards recognition was great, as Debbie mentioned. The facilities meeting here on the 11th, and there was Olive had its open house, as well as, unlike Ross, you were probably sleeping when I was setting up tables at Tour of Novato. So we did it, yeah. So that's it.
Okay. Last Wednesday, I had the pleasure of co-chairing the Joint Legislative Action Committee meeting at the county offices, and we had our guest speakers and presenters from the California Collaborative on Excellence in Education, which is the state board appointed group whose assignment is to help us with our LCAP plans and give us the support and to look things over from a statewide perspective. I just wanted the board to let you know that I had an opportunity to boast and brag about Novato Unified and the things that we were doing, as opposed to many other trustees who are speechless on the issue. So I just thought let you know that we're head and shoulders above the rest. So we're going to keep up the good work with the state government. Superintendent Hogaboom.
Thank you, President Nell. So I want to acknowledge three pretty amazing students. I was over at Novato High and talking to Matt Baldwin and Glenn Corey about the product design class, and it happened to be a couple weeks after the first day I picked up my new pair of glasses, I went to go play basketball with my son and at the Jewish Community Center, and instead of putting him somewhere smart, I put him up on this little ledge, and the next thing I knew, they had plunked over the ledge down into Never Never Land, never to be seen from again. And so for some reason, I just knew that the product design students were amazing, so I happened to mention this to Matt and to Glenn, and they said, okay, we'll take care of it. So I got an email from these guys, and they asked me what the problem was, and I sent them a picture of, it was actually about 7 feet up, kind of in between these two beams. And I don't know how you would get it down there. And so these three guys, you guys want to stand up? These are kind of the three musketeer guys: Jack Mason, Maxim Kalinkin, and Thomas Wenner. You guys want to stand up, and can you so give them a hand and show them how you guys got it out of there. Come on up.
You're coming up here by the podium, and we'll get you on camera, and everyone can see how you guys did it. Three engineers.
Right here. Okay, my name is Maxim Kalinkin. I'm a junior at Novato High School.
Thomas Nattery, I'm also a junior at Novato High School.
And Jack Mason, also junior at Novato High School.
So we wanted to talk a little bit about the product design program at our school, which is really interesting, and we really like the program, and we get a lot of help from Glenn Corey, who is our teacher, and his experience helps guide students and develop their knowledge about technology and product-based learning in the design system, and it opens us to other people and gains access to different different tools, with different learning tools, such as learning by doing, which is a great aspect for students.
Great. And just the gist of our project for retrieving the glasses was basically fishing line, and we welded these hooks to go down into the location of the glasses and pull them up.
Didn't work. That's good. Problem solver.
So it's amazing. So I didn't even. They just said, "Well, where did you lose them?" And I said, "The Jewish Community Center." I thought I was going to go over there. I didn't do anything. All of a sudden, they came over and they made this cool
Wow.
which says NHS product design on it. And inside there were my glasses that I lost on the very first day. So you guys are totally amazing. Thanks for all you're doing, and really appreciate it.
Photo. Thank you.
Thanks, you guys.
All right. Bright futures ahead there, I'm sure. Okay. Our next item is item 12, which is the non-agenda public comment. And I do have a blue card, and I just want to clarify for Mariah Fisher if she would like to speak to a non-agenda facilities item, or was there another item on the agenda that you were looking to speak to?
I believe it's non-agenda.
Okay, so then this would be the time for you to address the board. Up here at the podium so everyone can hear.
All right, thank you. Just to introduce myself, my name is Mariah Fisher. I teach at San Jose and San Marin, and I'm PTA president at Loma Verde. I have 3 children there. The 2 things that I wanted to talk about first is just to address air conditioning. At the last facilities meeting, 3 board members kind of seemed on the fence. So I've done some weather history. For the calendar year 2015, we had 41 instructional days where it was 80 degrees or hotter. So far this year, we've had 6, and it's only May. So to us at San Jose and to the teachers at Loma Verde, it is a need. We talked about needs versus wants. To us, it's a need. Even today, it was warm in my classroom, and then I went to San Marin. I teach at San Marin on Tuesdays, and I walked in, and it was like, it was fresh. I was totally rejuvenated after teaching all day. So I felt an impact today. And when I came in here tonight, I grabbed my jacket. It's cold in here, So duly noted on my end. If you turned it down a little bit here, maybe you turned it up a little bit in the classrooms. So the other, and I know that Trustee Scott is one of the board members on the fence, so I will be sending her an email with those facts. One of the big reasons I'm here to talk is about the STEAM facility at Olive. I am really concerned about this. We at Loma Verde have worked so hard to meet the needs of all of our students and to really, really push students where they are and push them to their maximum capacity and potential. And I'm really concerned about the STEAM facility taking our top level students, and I want to know how that's not going to happen. How are you going to address that when students want to come there, because it's great. And we have a robotics team, we have a tech team, we do a race car challenge at Sears Point, we've made scribble bots. The kindergartners made robots this week that were out of cardboard, but they were wrapped in tinfoil and they looked like robots. And I would love for you to come to open house on Thursday and see all of the STEAM related things that we already are doing at Loma, and how I really am convinced that this is going to impact our site. And that's a big reason why there is a large portion of us coming to the facilities meeting on Saturday. And I just wanted to kind of grease the wheels and get this conversation started. So one parent told me that, it was kind of like, well, we're getting a stage and they're getting STEAM. I don't recall STEAM being an option. It wasn't on the boards where we were putting the little stickers. And I feel like people would have put a sticker on STEAM if we knew that that was a potential. Is that my buzzer, or should I keep? So, because I have more notes, but I'll save them for Saturday. So thank you so much.
All right, thank you very much, and I appreciate that. With public comment, we can listen, but since it's a non-agenda item, we can't really address, but we will see you on Saturday. Okay, our next discussion action is letter A, the NUSD graduate profile, and Superintendent Jim Hogan will present.
Thank you, President Nell. So now that I have my glasses back, which are progressive, I can look at my notes and see you guys all at the same time, which is cool. So I'm actually really excited to bring this to you. We've talked about the graduate profile for quite a while, and we've had it for quite a while. But I did want to bring it to the board for adoption, because I think that this document is actually a really important one in our district. So let me just give you a little background. So as the board is quite aware, we've talked a lot about how the world has changed incredibly in the last 20 years, and how the skills that our students need to be successful in the world now are quite different from they might have been when I was in high school or a while ago. So we really did a lot of outreach to ask that question. So what are those skills that when our students graduate, we want to make sure that they're prepared for the world in the future, and did a ton of outreach. The first thing we did was formed a district advisory committee. And so that district advisory committee has teachers and parents and students and members of the DLAC and community members. College of Marin's on there, 10,000 Degrees on there. Cheryl from Novato Youth Center's on there. A couple board members sit in. Thank you. So we started talking about it and did some background information. And then we went out to a lot of different groups. So we talked to the secondary teachers, we talked to the high school teachers at a staff development day, we talked to the middle school teachers, we talked to the elementary teachers, we talked to Rotary, we met with the DLAC, we met with a lot of different constituents. We met with some of the best groups were student groups that we met with at all of our secondary sites. And so they gave us a ton of input. And after a lot of discussion, we came up with the 6 C's. So those are collaboration, communication, critical thinking, conscientious learner, cultural competence, and character. So it's really helpful having teachers on the district leadership team, which kind of came afterwards, because there's a lot on everybody's plate right now with the Common Core and a lot of the standards changing and all that. So the teacher said, hey, these are really important, but we can't do everything. So they agreed to teach collaboration, communication, and critical thinking, that they would teach and assess those skills. So those are the ones that actually we're working on now. The others, conscientious learner, cultural competence, and character, are still just as important. But students will be responsible for demonstrating those in some different ways, but the teachers will not be asked to assess all those. So I think I covered the why. The why that we need these is because the content is not enough now. Having the content knowledge is crucially important, but not enough, and so we need our students to have those skills as well. So once the district advisory committee came up with that list of the the 6 C's, they said, well, the teachers are really the experts. So we formed the district leadership team, which is mostly teachers and some administrators. And now they're kind of grappling with, okay, well, how are we going to implement these? How are we going to teach these skills? How are we going to assess these skills? And what's that going to look like? So that's kind of what we're working on right now. And that'll go on to next year. So far we have prioritized collaboration. We think that collaboration is important not only for our students, but also for us as adults. We need to be able to collaborate well with each other. So we have developed, met for one full day and I believe 4 afternoon meetings. We have one more meeting next week on Wednesday. And so we are developing rubrics around all 3 of those C's, but we're almost done with the collaboration. So we'll have a pilot rubric, early elementary, upper elementary, middle school, and high school. So the idea would be that we'll pilot this rubric around collaboration so everybody gets on the same page with what that looks like and how do we teach the skills of collaboration. And then next year we'll look at communication and critical thinking. So really excited that that this really is going to drive our district. And really the question that we're looking at is, how do we use our graduate profile to transform teaching and learning in the Novato Unified School District? And to me, that is an awesome question because we really do need to transform teaching and learning. The way, again, that we used to teach and the skills our students used to have are not what they need today. So we really do need to transform teaching and learning. And I think the graduate profile and working with our teachers and with our committees on how to do that is going to really drive us for the next few years forward. So really, project-based learning is going to be the key template about how we pull all these 3 things together because teachers have a lot on their plate, but through project-based learning, you can incorporate those 6 C's with a lot of the content that's going on. We're also looking at a performance assessment system where how do students demonstrate that. Again, in addition to the rubrics, we're looking at grade levels that students might demonstrate these. So 5th graders, before they move to middle school, might have a student-led conference where they would go through each of those 6 C's and provide evidence of how they've learned in each of those areas. Maybe in middle school, it's an exhibition in 8th grade that students, again, will take responsibility for demonstrating that. And then in high school, you would have some kind of a senior project or senior exhibition where, again, students would demonstrate maybe in front of a community member as well as staff and parents how they've demonstrated those 6 C's. So we're working on all those right now, but we really do hope that that's going to transform teaching and learning in our district and look forward to working more with our district leadership team in the future. So I bring before you this list of the 6 C's and the graduate profile for board adoption tonight.
Thank you. So let's start out with any questions, comments on the graduate profile being brought forward. Anyone on the board have anything they want to ask about, comment? If not, sure, Trustee Butler.
This isn't new to us. Obviously, you brought this back in December and just kind of a staff report. And you've been around the town and promoting this, and we have tried to do that ourselves. So it's a great work that's been put into this, and we've never had this before. And I'm thrilled that we've put this document in place, and our teachers are taking that leadership role to find the rubrics and how to implement that. So thank you for all the work that was done.
Trustee Cooper, then Trustee Millrick.
Hey, Jim, great presentation. I'm really glad that we're doing this as well. We're getting some focus, more focus. So you mentioned the collaboration rubric is going to be being developed now. Mm-hmm. How about the other 2? Are they going to be roll out next year as well?
Yeah, so again, we want to kind of take things in time, and so we figured if we focus on collaboration, that would be, not that you're not teaching communication and critical thinking anyway, but we'll have those pilot rubrics done, and then when we convene back in the fall, we'll start working on the communication and the critical thinking rubrics.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Trustee Millrick.
Pardon me. I'm an engineer by training. I look at things like, okay, we're going to spend some effort. Where are we going to go? What are we going to get? We're not going to run in circles. We're going to take a trip. We're going to make some progress. And I grew up under Edmund G. Brown's model of the California Master Plan, A through G academic requirements. And it was a very structured plan that has stood the test of time. It's gone out of fashion and come back into fashion because it was just a good idea to have a goal and be able to measure against the goal. in the high school and K through 12, we don't need an A through G. We don't need to do history and math. You need those, but the kinds of topics that we're talking about here, which has to do with growing up and becoming an adult and being able to take your role in life, is as much and is just as important as any academic topic we cover. And the framework and the format that we're talking about this evening, that we've been talking about for over a year, gives us the structure for us to decide to do facilities or not, to decide to change programs or not, to decide to do a STEM program or a STEAM program or not. This gives us that framework, and I'm thrilled that we've got a goal-focused, goal-oriented framework that other people can look over our shoulder and say, you're doing a good job or you're not. We're doing the work that a WASC committee would have done for us externally, but we're doing it internally. And I just think it's an extremely healthy model for this community to have to be able to assess our effectiveness as an educational institution. And I'm thrilled we're able to take this step tonight.
Thanks, Ross. Okay. Trustee Aguilar.
I'm pleased that along with this adopting this, that we're able to include the professional development and focus on that too, because they go together. So can I make a motion to? I'd like to make a motion to approve the graduate profile for Novato Unified School District.
Okay, so I have a first and I can take a second, but before we take a vote, I have a comment and would like to also weigh in. I'm super enthusiastic, happy, and I hope I can articulate enough, clearly enough why I think this is such a great thing. I'm not sure I can, but I'm going to try. So, so much I agree with, so much was said. Ross, tonight was the first time I heard growing up as a way to define some of these characteristics, the cultural competence, the conscientious learner aspect. I really respect you for that. I think that's another way to help put this, because for too long, I think we haven't really been focusing on the whole child, and what this particular graduate profile gives meaning to our K through 12 system. And it's the people ask, what is 21st century learning? Well, I think we've encapsulated it here to a great deal. And I also want to recognize the amount of work that's gone into this by everyone who works here and members of the community. I served on the district advisory group, and that was quite a diverse group, and there was a lot of opinions, but one of the things that doesn't get enough credit was the amount of research that was presented to us. And I found it striking how much that research actually correlated with my own personal experience in the private sector with hiring and employment training and the types of individuals that we were looking to work for our businesses. And what was lacking was this project-based, this concept of being aware of everything, being mature enough to take on the position as well as to do the job. So I'm really happy about this. I'm so glad to hear about the additional progress we're making with the district leadership team. The last time I heard a presentation from that group, I thought they were doing wonderful work, so I look forward to it, and I'm happy to vote in favor of this and look forward to developing it in the long term. So with that said, I will call for the vote. All those in favor? I have 6 in the affirmative and 1 absent, so thank you very much, and motion passes. Before we started, we had, I'm see if I remember, we had Trustee Aguilar moved and Greg Mack seconded. Thank you. Sorry about that, Gladys. I'll try to get that. All right, so our next discussion action item is B, approval of the full-time athletic director and the full-time athletic director and job description. So I guess we're approving the position as well as the description tonight. And our assistant superintendent of Human Resources, Chris Koska, you're on.
Hello, everybody. This is our way of bringing something back to you that we've talked about a couple times. As you know, we got the athletic task force together for a number of meetings in March. The purpose of the task force was to look at our athletics programs and see what we could do to improve them. We wanted to look at the overall quality of the programs, and we wanted to better support our students. While NUSD believes that providing an outstanding academic education is our priority. The district also believes that extracurricular activities such as athletics, music, drama, robotics, speech, mock trial, and others are also important influences on our students. But this task force focused on athletics. We sought input from students, parents, coaches, school administrators as to how we can strengthen and enhance every aspect of our sports programs. Some of the topics that were considered were the role of the athletic director, coaching, recruitment and training and development of coaches, parent involvement, facilities, sportsmanship at games, youth development, middle school sports, character development, and transportation. While the task force was interested in making sure that Novato teams are of high quality, it was not the intent of the task force to focus solely on being more competitive and winning more games, although that is, of course, a potential outcome. The task force number one recommendation, which was brought to you a few meetings ago, was to increase the staffing allocation for the athletic director from 0.4 FTE, so that would be essentially 2 of their teaching periods a day were focused on the athletic director role, to a 1.0 role at each comprehensive high school. So that means that they would be a teacher on the campus, but their full-time assignment would be to serve as the athletic director. Additionally, we've done some work based on the recommendations of the task force on to revise the athletic director's job description. Really, when we got into it, we found that it needed to be reformatted, some things needed to be moved around, some things needed to be cleaned up, but it captured the essential elements of what we would expect of an athletic director. One thing that you'll notice when you review it is it doesn't have everything to do with overseeing an athletics program at a high school. It's important to remember that the athletic director is the teacher that's in charge of athletics on the high school campus. They are not the administration that's in charge of athletics on a high school campus. So there's always going to be a critical partnership between the athletic director and typically one particular assistant principal on that campus. They will share the roles and responsibilities around athletics. One example would be evaluation of coaches. While the athletic director is going to give significant feedback to administrators about the performance of coaches, it's going to be the principal's or the assistant principal's role to be the evaluator. So what you're going to see when you review the job description for the athletic director is there are some things that you think, wow, a good athletics program has to have these key components, and I agree. We just got to make sure we have the right person doing them. So sometimes it's going to be the assistant principal that's the right person to do it. Sometimes it's going to be the principal that's the right person to do it. Sometimes it's going to be the athletic director. So with all that being said, I'd like to take any questions or comments you might have about the recommendation, and then we'll see where we go.
Okay. We have Trustee Mack up first, and then Trustee Milrick.
Thanks, Chris, for putting this together. I know it was a long path, a lot of meetings, a lot of folks here were at those meetings.
Yeah.
We covered a lot of ground. And thanks, Jim, for putting it together. Really appreciate it. I fully agree we need the support in a huge way. So this is a no-brainer to me. I only have an issue, and you already kind of talked to it, about the job description.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe you can just address this, and, because maybe what you just said does address it. Mm-hmm. My concern is that there's no real mention of a section on program development, on developing a vision for each of the sports, so that there is a plan for each of those sports that focuses more on just hiring a coach and getting through the season. So that focuses more on how to develop the program to be where it needs to be. What does it need? Those sort of things. Capital improvements, annual budgets, those sort of things. And that works with the boosters to an extent as well. And I get what you're saying. Maybe it's a more of a troika type of situation. Maybe it's a little bit more of the assistant principal. But I just want to make sure we cover that. Mm-hmm. And as well, a coach training plan. Mm-hmm. What are we doing? What is the athletic director's responsibility for ensuring that the coaches are properly trained? That maybe they got brought in and they still need a lot of training. because these are teachers. They need to teach our kids. So it's PD, and they got to get PD as well. And whether it's in terms of the skills or in positive coaching techniques, but all those things. And as well, an off-season program. Fundamentally, that's the way it goes. As these kids hit varsity, off-season gets real, and how that's going to work. Hand in hand with that, a program that helps some of these kids who have aspirations beyond high school to get them some form of publicity, some form of, you'll see it in other schools where they have a full-blown program that advertises, if you will, I mean, a website that shows clips, stats for these kids so that these kids can easily show that to the colleges that they're talking to. Let's see, and one last, you got coach evaluation. And then just more from the technical administration responsibility you're talking about. I know, and maybe Leslie, you're already covering this on the website side, but I know the websites are just a god-awful mess. There's websites all over the map. I would like to see the athletic director, and maybe you can chime in on this down the road when we have the whole website structure built out, but the athletic director somehow control all the different websites for all the different sports. So there's a little less chaos for all the families involved. And last but not least, we need an equipment inventory. What do we have at these schools? How much of it is out of date? When does it need to be replaced? Perfect example is the good old high jump pit that we've been talking about for Novato High. That has been going back and forth for the past 6 months. So
that was quite a list.
and I sent it to you, Chris. So.
Yeah, okay. So why don't we do this? One of the things that I hear is something that I think that we're really trying to address is that when we have a 0.4 AD, we're in react mode. Right? We're react. We're putting out fires. We're not able. First of all, let me back up a minute. What we're getting out of our athletic directors for our 0.4 is a lot. I mean, it's an impressive feat that we're able to keep the programs going, honestly, in a high caliber way like we are. So that's much appreciated. But we put them in a situation where they're reacting. And that doesn't mean they're not ever being proactive. But, when you got 0.4 time, it's react mode. And they're doing a phenomenal job of that. We have to get out of that react mode. And that's part of what we're proposing with this idea is that this is going to put us in a situation where we can be proactive. We can get ahead of these problems. And most of what you're saying here, that's what I hear. I mean, if there's a thread that weaves through all those things, it's be proactive.
Well, I would just ask you to consider as much of that as you can in the job description. But I understand what you're saying. If you hope to hire it that way.
Yeah, I think the job description is only 3 or 4 pages right now, which is a long job description. But I think we can figure out how we can make sure that this is the expectation that we're getting from our employees when they're doing the work.
Okay, so Trustee Miller, you were next.
Yeah, thank you very much for putting this together. As we try to recover from the Great Recession and try to put back an organization that we can effectively manage and control, as we see around the country, there are schools where the kids get in trouble in the athletics department, and clearly we don't want that to happen. We want to make sure we have a strong enough organizational structure in place to serve our students effectively. And as I said before, this is a chance for us to help kids grow up, and athletics is a place where, maybe when you're 18, you're near the peak of your athletic life. Maybe you're not you're not going to be an attorney at 18, but you may be a great runner or a sports participant, and you're going to learn about your own abilities and limits, and this is an important part of what happens. What I see in front of us is you've characterized this as a full-time teacher, not an administrator. This person does not have to have an administrative credential, as it's written, which means your pool of possible candidates is larger. It means that this person for this year is a working teacher in peer to the rest of the other teachers who coach, and if there's any walk-on coaches, of course, would be superior to that because of their employment status. But this seems to me like a really good first step. The goals that I hear Trustee Mack talking about building a program and structure, seems to me like it's beyond what this will achieve. But at point 4, we're in react mode. This seems to me to be a good, healthy step for us to get our arms around the problem, prevent any possible things going off the rails, which has happened in other districts, for us to structure and affirm an organization that recognizes athletics as part of an important thing that you will learn about when you're in school. I would love to see a strong enough position at high school that athletics could even be driven down into the middle school like it existed before Prop 13, but that's probably a dream that's never going to come true. So to me, this seems like a really good first step. We shouldn't expect, this is not an administrative credential position. If we were going to make it that would take some more thought, I think. But a year from now, maybe that's the conversation we need to be having. Clearly, it has to partner. This person can't supervise another teacher. That's not their role. That's not their skills. That's not what they're trained in. But they can look over a program. So my sense is this is a really good first step. And we're going to learn a lot in this year. And I'm thrilled that we're able to go this far. And hopefully our athletic programs are stronger and more kids benefit and more kids participate. And we'll see where we are a year from now. But I'm thrilled with the effort to put some structure into this program. So thanks.
Thank you.
Okay. Trustee Aguila.
Thank you again for all the hard work you've done for this. And I was wondering, with the job description that I'm reading, there's no qualification for fingerprints, and so but you do say that they have to have a previous experience of it being a coach. Therefore, they've already had their fingerprints, but I don't know if that's something necessary. And I know that NUSD is starting to always look for bilingual, bicultural. No mention of that. No need for that. The ball is the ball in all parts of the world. It's still round. But wondering maybe something along in the description of being sensitive to cultures or something along that line. Some students get really passionate with their sports, and so be kind of nice to have that in the description if you see fit.
Okay, thank you. Certainly, those are things that we look for in the selection process, but we'll look at the idea of putting it in the description.
Trustee Butler, were you, any comments or?
Really don't. I'm happy. I'm thrilled to see this. It's been on my radar for a couple of years now, so I'm happy to see it finally come to the surface. We definitely need it, and look forward to approving this. Thanks.
Thank you. I will try to be brief on a subject that is very dear to me, and I think we should have a 2-hour meeting on, but I'm going to come down on a broad picture. This is, it's not perfect. It's not everything that I thought, what we should have ended up with, but it's certainly a very, very large step in the right direction, and it's just, I think, the beginning of what ultimately should be our goal, and that is to have a co-curricular program that's going to help develop the C's on our graduate profile that aren't going to be necessarily taught and assessed by certificated teachers, but gives kids an opportunity to learn these cultural competence and character and the conscientiousness that we've just described and adopted here. So from that perspective, this is a very large step in the right direction, and I'm happy to get it started and move forward. It's sorely needed. I did want to thank the people who participated. We had a lot of parents. We had Booster Club members. We had our athletic directors. We had the principals, a lot of district staff who worked very hard on this, and there wasn't necessarily a full agreement on everything. So I want to congratulate you guys for getting us this far and moving ahead towards what's really the value here, and that's a co-curricular program that our kids are going to learn from. Some of the things that Trustee Mack talked about, off-season programs, promoting the program, equipment. Those are the kinds of things that I think we're gonna begin to do better because we're now proactive about it. We all know that, we're gonna follow CIF rules when it comes to off-season and equipment management, all that stuff. I'm looking forward to it, and I'm looking forward to working with Trustee Mack on making sure that it gets done. I did, though, want to emphasize some more on the professional development for coaches. This is an enormous amount of responsibility. We put our children in the hands of these individuals who have the responsibility to teach them not only to how to play a game and how to stay in shape, but how to live life. And I think that we're going to have this professional development for those that we have, and we're going to have a pretty good system in place to make sure that we get quality individuals when it comes to teaching our children anything. So that part, I agree with Trustee Mack. I don't see enough about that anywhere going forward, so hopefully we'll be able to get a better focus. So with that said, I guess any other? Sure, Trustee Miller.
My understanding is this position it requires a teaching credential.
Correct.
Right, so this is a certificated teaching position. I wasn't clear by the comments if somebody thought differently.
No, that would,
Yeah, good.
there was the coaches, the training for the coaches. What level of training are the
Yeah,
coaches
that's
going to
right.
have?
Perfect.
And is that going to be similar to a certificated teacher and the right kind of knowledge involved with the development of a child?
We're leading with professional educators here.
Right, very good. Okay, so appreciate those comments. So I need a first and a second. And
Move.
I have a first, Trustee Milrick, seconded by Trustee Mack. All those in favor? I see 6 in the affirmative and 1 absent. And thank you very much again to everyone, and it's a great step forward.
Yeah. I look forward to hearing about this a year from now after we get some experience. Yeah. Cool.
Okay, so we're going to move on to item C, which is to approve the agreement with Recon Consultants Incorporated, which is required for the required CEQA, the CEQA, reporting in conjunction with the proposed lights at our high school facilities. So we're going to have Karen Maloney, Assistant Superintendent of Business and Operations, and Adam Cole present this.
Thank you. I just want to remind the board that the purpose tonight is to approve the CEQA study. And this is a study to look at the environmental impacts should a stadium lights and PA system be installed at some time in the future at San Marin. And so I do have Adam Cole here, and also we have Mark Kelly from DWK, our legal firm that helped us in the drafting of this. And so just want to give a little overview of the process, let the board ask any questions, and then we can respond to it. But I did want to just take one thing out of the scope of work that was in the proposal by the company Recon that was awarded the contract, that when it talks about the scope of work, it says the EIR, so the Environmental Impact Report, will be prepared in accordance with the CEQA guidelines, which set the standards for adequacy of a EIR. Specifically, the CEQA guidelines state that. And it goes on to say that an ERI should be prepared with a sufficient degree of an analysis to provide decision makers, and in this case the board, with information which enables them to make a decision which takes account of environmental consequences. An evaluation of the environmental effects of a proposed project need not be exhaustive, but the sufficiency of a EIR is to be reviewed in light of what is reasonably feasible. And so really what it is saying is that through this process, if the contract is awarded tonight, that the consultant will go out and look at different levels, be it noise, be it light, traffic, noise, and all of those type of things, and then report back to the board. There's also a required public hearing when the public can speak to it. And so it is supposed to be, and the process is one of fact-finding that provides information to the board as they move forward in this. But I'm going to have Adam Cole, he's with Greystone West, our construction management firm, talk about the process, and if there's any questions, then we can have Mark answer questions about the legal.
Good evening. Thank you for having me here tonight. As far as the process goes, we advertised in the Marin Independent Journal, and nowadays when you advertise in your local paper, it's picked up everywhere. So we had firms all over the Bay Area looking that do this sort of work. We're interested. We had 5 firms submit proposals, and 4 of them were interviewed. All 4 were qualified to do the work. They all had some stadium light experience. And the process, and you could see the panel, we had neighbors, we had Mr. Mack on there, we had Superintendent Hogaboom on the panel. So there's about 7 of us on the panel. I facilitated. And really what it came across with all 4 groups is they're impartial. You're hiring an impartial person to report, because their duty is to report back to you exactly what the impacts will be to the environment. And Karen summed it up, and this is going to be light, noise, and traffic, and that's what predominantly the studies are going to be. And all 4 firms talked about the district's program, and that's something that I would expect be looked at by the board, approved, and adopted before anything be moved forward, should the project move forward, because the program is going to hand in hand drive the environmental impacts around the community and around the neighborhood. With that, I'll turn it to questions from the board, or unless you have something to say. No?
Okay, so we have before us a contract to let. Do we have any questions or comment for our presenters? Trustee Cooper.
So just to be clear, I wanted to make sure everybody understands this is just a fact-finding mission, right? So all we're doing is they're gathering the facts and they're going to come back to us. Timeline on this about, do you think?
9 months.
Okay. Great. It's a very thorough study then. Thanks.
Good. Okay, do we have any questions or comments? Okay, so, I'll just say I think it's so far so good. We're going to figure out if this is the kind of thing that will have value to our community by going through a very thorough process and making sure that we consider everything. It's kind of funny that you mentioned the issues were light, noise, and traffic. I think whenever you get a controversial issue that it comes up, it's people just throw light and noise and traffic out there to confuse the issue, and I, for one, don't appreciate that at all. And this kind of study here is going to bring the facts forward, and we're going to know exactly what can and can't be done and how, or if it should be. So I appreciate you guys bringing this forward. I think the board has a fair understanding of what's going on, and we look sounds like we're ready to move. I do have a public comment. Thank you, Trustee Cooper, for reminding me. So at this time, if with the board's permission, I have a public comment. That would be Mike Jolly of Novato. Mr. Jolly.
Thank you, trustees, for this opportunity. My wife and I have been good neighbors of San Marin High School for 34 years, and our son proudly graduated from San Marin, where he played football and baseball. I oppose the lights and your acceptance of the EIR because this opposition does not deny students and parents what they and 11,000 San Marin graduates have successfully lived with already. But lights would deny our neighborhood of what it has and cherishes, which is peace of mind and quality of life. No high school lights did not hurt Novato's own Jared Goff from being this year's #1 NFL draft choice in football. San Francisco high schools have for years not allowed night games because of hooliganism and public safety threats. Only on May 4th did we neighbors ever get an information letter from school authorities. No mention was made of exactly how many night games and practices will occur at San Marin High School. Marin Catholic's petition cited a frightening 514 light uses. I have asked NUSD for, but have never been able to get, a San Marin High School field use study after MCAL's winter soccer rescheduling, which supposedly occasioned this rush to lights. Other Marin high schools with much larger student populations have accommodated MCAL's change with no request for lights. How do they do it? And not us. How do they do it? There may well be no real need for lights except enthusiasm. I was drafted, despite being in opposition, to be on your EIR consultant interview panel. It was a group of very good men and women. I felt such a call, my duty as a proud Novato citizen, but my participation is not tantamount to my approval of this whole process and the EIR consultant hiring. NUSD's own January 2016 bond measure feasibility survey, which you commissioned from Godby Research, surveyed 534 likely November voters, and spending money to provide lights at high school sports fields in Novato was the second lowest rated spending priority by voters, ranking 16th out of 17 choices. I'm not sure the Novato public knows that school districts are sovereign in their own geography, subject only to the courts and voter disapproval, like your own survey seems to indicate. Neither our Novato City Council nor our Planning Commission have any say in this lights issue. So our neighborhood, which has fewer votes than the students, teachers, parents, and boosters can likely muster, our neighborhood has only you, trustees, only you, to protect our civic and property interests. Please do not let us down. Please demonstrate that your board will not unilaterally violate and break an almost 50-year agreement between San Marin High School and its neighborhood, which has fostered active daytime only student use of their football field. We have been a supportive neighborhood. This crosses the line. It is easy for trustees, parents, boosters, teachers, and students, most of whom who do not live in the abutting school's immediate proximate neighborhood, like we do. It is easy to approve something that costs them basically little. My neighbors and I, who have worked hard to buy and maintain our properties and pay our taxes, deserve your full support and deserve your protection of our interests. An EIR is not necessarily that protection. An EIR is your legal protection, not ours. Your rejection of school lights, like other Novato school boards have done in the past, is our only protection. Thank you.
All right, and thank you for your comments. Okay, so it's back to, well, we have another speaker. 13C, okay, got it.
We good? Okay. Thank you, trustees, for allowing me to speak. My name is Ben Philpott. I coach boys soccer. I also teach PE and leadership at San Marin High School. I'm not going to waste your time talking about the things we talked about last month. I did want to take a moment to thank you for voting forward to get us to this point. I know it was a small step in the direction of possibly getting lights, and I know that nothing is promised or guaranteed, but I do think taking this additional step to see what the facts are, what the impacts would be, having someone has no interest in one way or the other, and getting those facts and just seeing what way we can help students. We know that it'll keep them in class, but taking this step, I think, helps us represent the many students that we have at our school now, the many students that we'll have coming in the future, and the impacts it'll have for them as well. So I just wanted to say that. Yeah.
All right, thank you. So if we don't have any other comments, I'm going to bring it back to the board and see if we have a motion and a second to proceed with the superintendent's recommendation. I have a first from trustee Mack, and does anyone want to make a second? Okay, seconded by trustee Butler. So before we call the question, do anyone have any further comments? See none, then all those in favor of the recommendation? I see 6 in the affirmative and 1 absent.
So this gets us an EIR. That's what.
That's what it,
gets us an
exactly.
EIR. Thank you.
Gets us the facts. Okay, thanks. All right, so our next item is item D, which is to consider approval of the renewal of the Novato Charter School K-8 out at Hamilton, and we have our Assistant Superintendent of Business and Operations, Karen Maloney, who will present.
Thank you. Tonight, before you is the opportunity to renew the charter petition with our charter school, Novato Charter School. As we spoke last board meeting when we had the required public hearing, the Novato Charter School has been with our district for almost 20 years, just shy of 20 years. And they're actually one of the very first charter schools in the state of California. What is your number? 89. And if you remember when charter schools were first allowed to happen in the United States, at that time the governor was only going to allot 100. And so certainly our charter school was 89 and should be very proud of that, and also the long relationship that we have with them. So we did go through the process of the review. I have Terry Ryland here. She was our consultant that did the review of the petition, the MOU, primarily the financial aspect of it. Also, we had Janet Mueller, our attorney with DWK, do a full legal review and presented that information. And as stated in the board report, the comments that the charter school has received from the board throughout the year and at the public hearing were addressed, and so the information is there that one of the main goals that we heard from the board is for the population of the charter school, the student population, to more closely reflect that of the population of the Novato Unified School District. And so listed here is over the past 5 years, the charter school has done the following to achieve a racial and ethnic balance among its pupils, and it's so it is reflective. And so listed there is they formed a permanent outreach committee of parents of Hispanic, Latino origin and heritage, widespread distribution of flyers announcing Spanish language tour conducted in the early evenings to accommodate working families, marketing to Spanish radio stations, Spanish language web page, made all parent-related documents available in Spanish, promote school at local events with significant attendance by Hispanic, Latino families, sponsor a local soccer team. And then in 2014, Novato Charter School added a year-round promotion through mass distribution of informational brochures to its multi-pronged outreach activities. It then goes on to show that the number of new students enrolling has been between 14% to 20%, and in last year, 11%. But what they, in the 4-year average is 17.2%, versus 21.3% for Novato as a whole. And also, what the board really did ask of the charter school was change some policies. So in a continued effort to help remove any barriers that may be there, so contained in the documents, be it in the handbook or in the petition or in the MOU, because they're in different places, that the 3 things that the charter school will be doing, starting in 2016-17, school tours will no longer be mandatory for parents to want to apply for participation in the enrollment lottery. Starting in 2016-17, the Hispanic Outreach Committee will reach out to community preschools and pediatric clinics to conduct Spanish language school tours at their sites. And starting in 17-18, Novato Charter School will no longer give enrollment preference to previous year applications on the wait list. And so those are things that we, the charter school heard. We worked closely with them to look at it. Their board changed policy in order to meet those requirements. And we do have administrative staff here from the charter school that can answer any questions. So as I said earlier, that we did have 2 outside firms review the documents. This renewal comes up every 5 years. And so one was the financial side of it. Terry Ryland and her team have extensive experience in this. And so the findings noted there were similar to what we note on our interim reports. We are doing some additional things around that, but all in all, the financial reports are strong and are approved and looking at that. And then our attorney reviewed it, and there were changes in the MOU, but most of those were just legal update. There was no real significant changes other than in the MOU. We have been going by a required 5% reserve. It was stated in the MOU as a 3%. That was really just being consistent with what we've been asking the charter school to maintain. And it is consistent with the state requirements when we look at the size of the school that the charter is. Also in your documents, board members had requested a copy of the independent auditor's report that was attached there. Certainly we can answer any questions. I know there's lots of information there. We can answer any questions. Certainly I'll let the charter school, Nikki or Jeffrey, answer that, or I'll be happy to address anything. Certainly Terry can also answer anything that you might want to ask. So. Those were legal changes, and so that really when you look at that the changes that were in it had to do, and you're referring to the MOU, the changes had to do with the word change, the sections around moving from a revenue limit, because 5 years ago it was revenue limit, now it's LCFF. It had information in there about how the LCAP would be presented, what needs to be done. It needs to be posted on the website. Also, in updating the special ed section, it really didn't significantly change the practice, but it was just bringing language up to more current legal standards. But as reading through it, there really wasn't any significant change to practice. Regarding special ed, I did have Terry review that, as I did Janet, to see if we're using the best method, what should we be doing? Is this consistent with other practices with charter schools? And it came back that it was. So, and looking at that. But we do provide a lot of services to special ed. That is one of your attachments. That is something that we will continue to monitor for the amount of fees that the bill back that we give to them, just to make sure that we are staying within the limits in the number of services provided.
Okay, so it's to the board, and we have Trustee Cooper, then Trustee Mack.
I first want to start off by saying I really think that Novato Charter School has been a great partner with this district, and thank you for your great work and serving our students. And I also appreciate your flexibility in addressing some of the community and our concerns. And with that, and I wish you luck in achieving these goals, and I know you will. Karen, on page 2 of your report, there's right under the 4-year average, comparing the two, there's item 1 through 3 there.
Correct.
And I didn't see in the charter anywhere the third item. And I thought it would be in Appendix H, and I just didn't see it. So I just wondered if you could.
I'm going to let Nikki or Jeffrey respond to that. Starting in 17-18, Novato Charter School will no longer give enrollment preference to previous year applicants on the wait list. And what section would that be under?
Come on up.
The enrollment policy in the appendix.
Is it H?
Enrollment preferences should have eliminated the previous year waitlist applicant priority category.
Would that be Appendix H?
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't see it. So I just want to make sure that it got in there, so if staff could double check that.
I'll double check.
Just double check.
Look at that, and so we will follow up to make sure.
Okay.
That when I looked at it.
Other than that, thank you very much.
Trustee Mack, then Trustee Aguila.
I've got a few questions. First, like Tom, I want to say thanks for everything you guys are doing. I do think you provide a truly unique experience that is useful for our kids. And thanks for having me there twice. I learned a lot, a great deal. So I'm really looking forward to keeping that going. I do just have a few questions, though. In the letter that Karen sent to us from Mr. Ehrlichman's regarding response to various comments, there's those numbers of 2012, 2013, 14.3%, and then, going down to 11% for this current school year. How's that number calculated? I don't get it.
You have to speak and say.
Mine as well, stand up here.
Thank you. So based on the new students, the amount of students that are of Hispanic origin, those are the ones that we calculate based on the enrollment of new students overall.
So.
The differences are because of the random nature of our lottery. We can't guarantee.
No, I get that. So make sure I got this right. So roughly 28 students came in last year into the K?
Let's say, or 12, 13, yeah, 20.
Yeah, in 2015, 16, roughly 28 came in. And doing the math, that means 3 of them were Hispanic?
That's correct.
For this coming in for that year?
Correct.
Okay, not for the entire school?
No.
Okay. All right.
I'm sorry. I think it's important to explain how many, out of the 260, 65, how many real openings there are
Right.
each year.
As we've explained in the letter, we've only have openings in our first year kindergarten, really.
I get it, yeah.
So there's about 20 spots every year available.
Right.
And as you go up the years, there aren't any.
And
So that's what we focus on, is trying to get new students of Hispanic origin. So we focus on pediatric clinics, mothers with preschool kids that we can attract to that grade, so that we don't create false expectations with older students that will, never get in because of our full impact.
Because I was under the impression that there was only 3 in the school at this time.
No.
In all grades.
No.
Okay. Then English learners, how many English learners are currently in the school?
I don't have that number. You know that?
I
Emily?
have that number.
Okay. And while you're getting that, and this might be just more of a general question, I know funding's an issue. You guys make a point of saying that it's, you're the lowest funded school in the county, and I get that. And that drives a lot of the fundraising. To the extent that you get more English learners and more free and reduced lunch students, does that impact that number? Does that number go up?
The number of our
Your
funding
funding number
Yeah, it
per
would.
student.
By the local control funding formula, it would, yes.
Okay, I just wanted to verify that it applies to charters as well as to all of our other schools.
All across.
Okay. And one last question, and this goes to the priorities. I know you just talked about changing the rollover of the wait list, et cetera. Can we legally provide a priority for English learners and free and reduced lunch kids who apply for the school?
Well, the legality of Ed Code says the charter school should do every effort to try to mirror the demographics of their student population of the district they serve.
Right.
But that is a ethnic and racial preference. That's the only thing that.
But I'm talking about actually, classified ELs and classified FRLs without regard to race.
I'm sure you can do it.
No, you can't. You can't
No,
do
Okay,
it.
by law.
cannot? Okay,
I stand corrected. You cannot.
There you go.
okay. No, I just wanted, that helps me understand. And that's it for me.
Trustee Mack, what was the data point that you wanted?
Number of ELs that are currently in the school, of how many students total right now? 262.
Yeah, I didn't bring the backup for a summary I have by percentage. I did pull the seabeds for all of our schools, including the charter school, and I looked from 2010-11, the last time of the renewal, to this date. So I can send that out in a Friday update if you like. But I did do a comparison of the two, and looking at I don't have the number, but we did it by percentages to show in relationship to the population. And so for the charter school, that it's same thing, and I didn't do EL, I did Hispanic and poverty. And so looking at that in 11-12, based on seabeds, that the charter school For a number of Hispanic, it was 4.12%, and now they're at 11.94. That's not saying they're English learners, but, and then for poverty, it's 0.82, that was in 11-12, and now it's 3%. So there has been a growth, and that would be total population. And so I can send out on the Friday where
Okay.
it shows all of our school districts and how the charter school falls.
That'd be helpful.
In relationship to that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Trustee Aguila.
Hi. So ironically, even though I'm Latina, I know I would be one of the ones that would be like, I want to make sure that we're being equitable and that we're serving all of our populations, and I am. But as a trustee, I want to make sure that the community is being heard, and so therefore, even though I think that if it's not broken, you don't need to fix it. I think the charter school definitely works. It's been working for years, and so I want to thank you for that and for addressing communities' concerns. And so with that, having said that, I'm a little bit worried about now that you guys have decided that it's no longer mandatory, the tours. What's in your plan on how are you going to make sure that the student is a good match and the family, that it's a good match for the schools? Do you have a plan B in case, to prevent issues? Because I know many families that have been at the charter school and their students, my best friend's kids they graduated from there, they went to school there. And I know current parents that are there, and the charter school is a completely different world to our normal schools. But so I would like to know, like I said, it's a different world, and not everybody can be a student at the charter school. And so how would you guys go about, or are you okay with this, and how would you go about taking care of that issue?
I just want to add that we're prepared to work together with the district to address the issues of the community and to serve all students in Novato. So whatever we can do to further that goal, I'm sure we're going to do it well.
Good evening. Thank you very much for all of the work, and thank you, Karen Maloney, for all of the work she's put into this. And it continues to really be a pleasure to work with staff and to be a part of this community. So, of course, we're very aware of that. A number of our parents are very aware of this. Mr. Erklins and I did bring your concerns, the community's concerns, to our board. And really spoke of how we do have to look at the total population and mirroring the demographics and wanting this to be open and available to anybody who wants it. And it is a unique program, and I'm so glad that Trustee Mack has been there to visit, and as well as Maria and Ross has been there, and a number of you came to our back to school night, so I really appreciate that, as well as some of the guests. Because I think it is important that that parents do realize that we don't want anybody to be disappointed. So this has sort of all happened fairly recently, and I really am committed to taking time with that and making sure that there are no barriers to entry, and at the same time making sure that families do have the information, because it's not in the child's best interest for a family to come to my school, to your STEM program, to your MSA program, to your dual immersion program, and for the family to realize, whoa, this isn't what we want. So I'm very curious to talk to staff, talk to the other schools who do have these alternative programs, both in NUSD and in other districts, to find out how you do that, how you make sure that there is no barrier, but that families have all of the information that they need to make a choice that will resonate and that they'll be satisfied with. Because again, it's not in children's best interest for them to go from school to school. It's not in families' best interest, and it's not in any of the schools' best interest for there to be disappointed or lack of understanding of expectations. So, and we continue to welcome any of you who would like to come and tour the school and get to know us better, as well as community members.
Okay, Any trustee Moore?
Yeah, I guess. I was able to approve the first charter at number 87, and the Novato charter, Laura Smith and I think her friend Galatolo, the two founding parents, have put together an organization that has some of the same parents still involved today. It has continuity, has commitment to its community, and there have been a lot of charter schools that have not succeeded across the state of California, and there's been charter schools that haven't focused on providing the very best alternative to the community. And in Novato's lucky case, we have commitments for the charter to make sure that the very best program that they can put together is available. And I think a lot of the concern that we've heard is that the charter school structure is being used for some other purpose other than serving the community. And so we have to be careful, and then when we put it in writing, we have to make sure that that language is there and the structure's in place. But I would be thrilled to approve this charter for another 5 years. I think it's been a good choice for community families in Novato. And we just have to make sure that we don't create public structures with public dollars that segregate our community or create barriers or create us's and them's, as we all currently hear about in the national political scene. And I think we've got the work's been done by the community members who've come forward and this board and our attorneys and the charter school to give us a framework to take that challenge for another 5 years and do the best we can to serve all of Novato. And hopefully, our 14 campuses attract students, and we're competitive, and people choose our campuses over the charter because it's a better choice for them, or they choose the charter over us because it's a better choice for them. But it's a family choice that's available in Novato, California, that's not available other places. So I'm excited about the work that's been done, and I'm excited to be able to support this measure when we get to it.
I have a couple comments, but sure, no. Trustee Aguila, you had a...
Okay, no, I just thought that it would be time for the motion, so I wanted to make the motion to approve the Novato Charter School.
Okay, we will, are there any more, there can be comments and discussions after, if anyone would care to make a second on that, or we'll come back to it. Did you have a additional comment, or?
Yeah, I'd just like to ask some questions.
You have some questions?
Comments in general.
How about I have a couple questions, and then we'll come back, and it seems like the board's not done yet. Okay. So my approach on this is going to be first from the fiscal responsibility kind of an aspect. I mean, it's our we have a fiduciary responsibility to make sure that the oversight is in place, and that anything that you guys do doesn't expose the citizens of our community and their school district to what's going on. So take that seriously, and with that in mind, I'd like to start out by first showing some appreciation to our CFO, who I think did a diligent job and I think made a wise choice in bringing in the consultant firm, Ryland, to look things over. And I think as a result of your efforts, we were able to identify a few things that actually could matter and could have serious consequences to the district. So I did want to point out that this process includes dotting I's, updating the MOU, and seeing to it that the district and the charter school are working together with current rules and under the current rules and regulations, and that everything is bona fide. So I think it's important to point that out, that you guys are fiscally sound. You're doing everything to the best of your ability, and the things that did come to the surface were to be expected as times change and/or they rose to a level of recognition, and I appreciate the efforts and the changing of the language and so forth. So I'm happy with that effort, that part of the effort, and I want to congratulate you and our own staff for putting this together. I did a question about the report from Ryland, and it's page 2, it's the third bullet down. There's talk about your second interim and the foundation. So if I understand this correctly, the Novato Charter School has an independent foundation that raises funds for the support of the school. And the comment is about meeting that foundation's goals, but I don't know if our consultant's here, but I'm really more concerned about the relationship between the charter school and its foundation. I mean, we have a situation here where we really should have an arm's length relationship taking place, and I really don't know who sits on the board of the foundation and who sits on the board of the charter school, and I'd like to have some reassurance that the organization that raises the funds is not necessarily the same organization that's running the school. So are we prepared to talk about that at all, or did we do any?
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
And that's a very good question. The foundation is a separate 501c3 with a totally separate board of trustees, so no director sits on both boards. There are no other contracts other than the fundraising commitment of the foundation to support the charter school as its sole mission. So there are no other contracts between those two institutions that could lead to conflict of interest. So they are separate.
Okay, and I just wanted to appreciate that, and I take you on your word, but I was just wondering if we could get some independent verification of that. If we're not prepared, that's fine. It's something that.
I don't have that tonight.
You don't have that
I can
tonight.
certainly follow up and send you something that outlines what was just said.
It's a due diligence factor, and again, I don't want to expose the district to the kinds of things that could be problems down the road. So I'm sure it's there, but maybe we can make it amended to the package going forward. I had another question. In the comments from Ryland Consulting, there was a suggestion that a pro forma charter budget be put forward and so forth. And I wanted to ask our CFO if you were doing that on your own, you make that part of the initial, or did I miss it because I didn't see it in the report?
One of the appendixes has a 5-year projection.
Okay, so there is a 5-year projection, and it's your 5-year projection. It's not an independently provided projection based from our consultant.
And I might have perhaps been a little bit more forceful in asking, I really should do this. If I had seen a lot of significant adjustments that I would make, I've had a lot of occasions in reviewing charter petitions that the numbers are so off that I can't just sit there and bullet them and go, well, we're going to adjust this by 100,000 and this by 250, and people can't imagine what that's going to look like, and so I just kind of do it myself and say, actually, using all of these assumptions, here's what the numbers look like, and they're significantly different. So I wasn't seeing that significant difference. It was 5,000 here and 5,000 there. And so I just kind of asked, do you want me to go ahead and go through that exercise? But it wasn't going to really change the bottom line as far as fiscal viability. So I didn't go through that exercise.
Okay, so I mean, if I could.
I can.
No, well,
But-
it sounds to me like you're characterizing that there weren't enough red flags, you didn't have enough concerns, you didn't see a reason to be more forceful or more insistent on an independent pro forma, which is my question. So you've answered, it's good news.
Right. And that's how I took it, yes.
Okay, that's fine. So that's kind of like my questions. Somebody else would like to ask a question? No, I don't see that we have any public comments. So, we do have one public comment, so if you want to bring that forward. So I had a few other questions, but I just wanted to, on another issue, but I just wanted to come back to the board. Trustee Mack, you said you had a comment, and then it looks like we'll have public
So
comment.
it's kind of a question and a comment. So on balance, I really support what's going on at the school. I think you guys are doing a great job. You really do provide an alternative. I think we can sell it even more, to be honest. I know to a degree it's full, but it's because it's a great program. However, on balance, I think it's fantastic. I'm just concerned about giving another 5 years without showing any demonstrable results on these percentages, especially with ELs and FRLs. I'm less concerned about ethnicity. My kid's Mexican American, but he's not an EL. Big difference. And where I'm going is trying to find a way that we can work together, and I mean it, work together, work with you, help you, to find those EL kids and FRL kids in the neighborhood that can attend the school. And I know that you would embrace them. You guys have a great education for that kind of a cultural background. I think it's a wonderful fit. So I'm inclined to instead of going 5 years, doing something shorter term when revisiting with something that will get us more results to show what we can do. I don't know if that's an option. I don't know if it's 5 or nothing or what.
Correct.
But
It's 5 or nothing.
okay.
You only get that chance at the initial approval.
Yeah. And because of that, I need to see more results getting us toward more parity with our neighborhoods before I can approve another 5 years. I can approve another year or two to work toward it and work with you to do it. I think you guys will do it. Because I know you're making genuine efforts, but I'm not seeing the results yet. And I think you just need some help from us to do it. But that's where I'm at.
Just from a procedural parliamentary kind of thing, you're welcome to make a motion on an amendments to the recommendation at any time during our process here. So that's
okay.
It seemed like you asked that question, and you're certainly welcome to ask the rest of us what we would think of your alternative proposal.
But I can't shorten the term.
No, but you cannot shorten the term, correct. Okay. It's a 5 years, it's all or none on that issue. Okay. Trustee Aguilar.
Yeah, as far as results go, I've seen the results, and they're very successful, and I'm really proud of our charter school. The changes have been made according to what some community members have brought up, and so thank you for your flexibility. And I worry about the students, and I want to make sure that the students are more than data. I'm just so you know, I'm more worried about the students than the data, and so I am very proud, of the charter school, and because of the changes that have been made, I believe that we will have more diversity, and so again, I thank you for these changes, and we'll have 5 years to play along with it, and not play, but to see how it works and to see even more results. So I look forward to that, and I thank you again for taking care of our students.
Okay, I believe we have at least one public comment, so if it's with the board's knowledge, we would take that public comment now. If anyone else who would like to address the board on this issue, please fill out a little blue slip and bring that forward to our board secretary. Michael Christian.
Yes. Good evening, trustees, superintendent, and staff. I appreciate the chance to openly discuss this opportunity to open the program to disadvantaged children even further. I'd like to speak briefly about the numbers we're dealing with in NUSD. In the NCS presentation, we saw an outline with results from the current outreach program. To be fair, comparing the 4-year average to the new NCS Latino students to the latest census of Novato completely misses the mark in the goal of equity in our schools. Hamilton, right across the street, has over 60% of their students qualifying for FRL and 40% English language learners. By comparison, NUSD is 35% FRL. If NCS is adding, according to the reported statistics, 2 to 4 kids, give or take, per year under the current outreach program, that's only about 30 kids or so in the entire school in the next 8 years. That's less than 12% of the student body. And that is if enrollment trends in that direction. According to the numbers, that's not happening. What's the outreach budget? Is there a specific goal or target? What is the timeline for action items? And ultimately, who is responsible? We should treat this goal similar to improving academic performance. If we truly value diversity and equity, we must do better. Could NCS engage nearby Waldorf schools? I think Nikki had mentioned that, and I think that's fantastic, with much greater diversity. What has been their success in attracting a more diverse student body? I recently contacted the California Charter Schools Association. They recommended a preferenced admission for FRL kids. They specifically said that. There's currently 5 categories of preferences of students for NCS. Perhaps we should add FRL. I was quoted, Ed Code permits charter schools located in the attendance area of schools, which 50% are FRL eligible, according to the California Charter School Association, can preference FRL kids. The current location of NCS in Hamilton satisfy that requirement. It seems like an obvious and important place to start a conversation. I've also seen charter schools that have preferenced geographic boundaries. I think it really depends on the authorizing board and the legalities and what they're comfortable with. With regard to servicing any FRL populations at NCS, there are many vendors providing meals before, during, and after the school day. The Boys and Girls Club of Marin utilizes Revolution Foods out of Oakland, which has been partnering with charter schools across the country for over a decade. They are but one low-cost meals provider. NCS Foundation raises hundreds of thousands of dollars per year, so the resources are there if we are willing to make a positive change. The challenge is, do we collectively, to Trustee Mack's point, have the will to provide this educational opportunity to the disadvantaged? And I do think we all do need to work together. I think the charter school does a fantastic job. I just really would like to see those numbers increase in a more positive direction. And I certainly would like to see us really look into the preferencing categories for the FRL categories. Thanks.
Thank you. So Trustee Miller, you were next.
Important conversations. Hamilton runs the food bank. Hamilton School across the street from you runs the food bank every Wednesday morning. They bring in 6 to 10 pallets of food. We do that at, I think, 4 elementary schools in Novato. How do I say this? Those needs in our community are very important, and the charter school should be, like every other agency paid for with public dollars, should be participatory in the process. I don't think this evening denying the 5-year extension gets that done. I think the conversation that we're beginning, and maybe it should have begun sooner, but the conversation we're beginning is an important part of that, because I think it's more than my concern isn't that the charter school as it's constructed is working hard to exclude kids who need meals in order to be healthy because they can't get fed at home. My concern is that we as a policy body set up, because we've had 3 charter schools. We've had a high school charter school, we've had an applicant charter school we denied, and this charter school that we've renewed multiple times. I want to make sure as a policy body we're making sure that the public money, the California state money, is used in education to make sure all of those students are served. To compare 2 schools, one across the street from the other, and one's got a food program that brings in loads of food from the San Francisco and Marin Food Bank every morning, is like saying, okay, well, that's a pretty good program. I mean, we're doing that in other campuses. To say the charter school is challenged and should be doing the same thing, I'm not sure you should bring in 5 pallet loads of food, once a week. Maybe you should find a way to partnership. To me, the concern is that we don't create an institutional structure that institutionalizes the segregation of our society. I just got through reading an article on today's paper. There's a court case came down in Mississippi, and after a court case was filed in 1965, the court just ordered desegregation. In today's 2016, I mean, we can't be oblivious to this, but I don't think denying the charter gets it done. I think what gets it done is the hard conversations of making sure that the benefits of the Waldorf-inspired program that you guys offer is available in a multicultural setting and people can take advantage of it. And it's not that you can bring in pallets of food, it's that you have an offering that is different and important. How do you get there? I think it's a challenge. I think you raise an extremely important program for how you spend public money. I just don't see, 5 years or not, I think denying the charter doesn't get us there. I think approving the charter with some structure and some common goals that we develop over the next year gets us to that point. So I would start this conversation with a charter approval, but then with a debate, with an engagement that a lot of towns in the United States don't want to have, about how do you have a social justice, How do you create opportunities for a population that the kindergartners in this country look pretty different than the people who are 70. The cultural mix of people my age is pretty different than the cultural mix of kids who are 5.
So,
And we have to address that. I'm challenged by your question. I don't know the answer. I guess that's what I'm saying. I don't know.
all right, so we have Trustee Butler had a comment.
Question for Karen. So if we were to move forward with the 5-year renewal of the charter, and something comes up in those 5 years where we see one of them things being achieving the racial and ethnic balance among his pupils, if we have that in question as a board, how do we open that conversation up? Is approving a 5-year charter petition said and done, and we can't question anything? What is our role as a board?
Couple things. So you have legal boundaries, and also you have relationship. The one thing that I've seen in the 5 years that I've been here is a very strong relationship between the district and the charter school. And so I'm actually going to ask Terry to respond to that question, or I may have to get back to you. We do have a review process where we do meet with them and review it each year. I think to Ross's comment, sitting down and having specific goals, I think is very important. I really want to commend the charter school and their board for responding to the board's requests. So the requests that they heard, they did respond to. And so I think what we need to do, and possibly under our new assistant superintendent that's in charge of instruction and has a background in this, I think under that individual that they can sit with the charter school and have real clear goals. And that's some of the comments as I've been working with the board, with the charter school, is saying, we need some clear guidelines. So we're trying to mirror it. That's what we've done 4 years ago when we had this conversation. We said we want you to do different things so that you are much more like the population. And I believe in their efforts that they have done that. So I do appreciate the comment of having specific goals to say, what target do you want to reach? And what is it that you want? Prior to this, I have only heard Hispanic. So now we're beginning to hear other things. So I think we have to be clear. And also I think that it is a specialized program. And so you have to look at the expectations. I think we have a board member who represents a certain population, as we all do, but I think you more so is speaking to and saying, you want to make sure those tours meet with families, and so that they know what it is. And so there's two sides to it, but I think if we have very defined goals that we can work towards together, I have seen nothing but willingness from the charter school to try and accommodate that. I just think the goals haven't been clearly defined as what the board wants. And so, and to the numbers, when I look at all of the schools, all of our schools aren't at the same level. And so it depends on where they are. Some of our schools, one in particular, that instead of growing at the same rate as the school district, they're declining. So I think we need to be aware of the goals for the whole district and then set specific goals. So legally, we do a review yearly. And
that's what I was going to say. Sometimes in a lot of charter relationships, it's kind of, you see them every 5 years and that's kind of it. We do have to perform regular throughout the year, oversight as far as interims and that kind of thing. But in a lot of cases, it's kind of the only time you would see them before the next 5 years is if you were going to revoke, and there were very specific and egregious things that you would revoke for. There could be material revisions if there were something that was so different that either side wanted to make, as far as a change to the petition or the MOU, you'd have to make a material revision. And I don't even think you're looking at something that drastic. But I think in the spirit of the LCAP, which makes things look different now, and more of that community, engagement and more discussion, and the fact that, once a year, we need to go out there, we need to review, sit with the site, we need to and there, there's really kind of supposed to be a report back to the district every year on the results. I think that
they come every year.
Okay, yeah.
They
So
just
I
came
think you
recently.
could work it with, within that, and maybe
Yeah.
Maybe you can just come up with a little bit of words, verbiage that could go into the MOU as a result of this renewal that just says, hey, when when we have issues on these things, we're going to at least come together and talk about it, or something like that. I mean, I don't know that they've ever said no, but if you wanted to just have a little language, you could put that in the MOU, but I don't think any of this would rise to an official, we're going to start talking about, this is a material revision, we want to make some changes. But you could probably have a sentence somewhere that softens the MOU, that provides a little bit more opportunity to come together to talk about things outside the official reporting dates.
Okay.
Okay, so I want to do a check-in with the board because we still have a few agenda items left over, and it's not to say that one thing is more important than the other, but I just want to check in with you guys. At this point, I just want to ask, is there anyone here who, one, that feels like they don't understand it enough yet and they have some technical questions about it, or if they just want to make a comment, sort of a final brief comment about it and move on to motions and a vote. I kind of want to just check in and see what you guys are ready to vote, okay, ready to vote. Okay, so I'm not, but I'll be brief. This issue around equity is it's very serious, and a lot has been said is very important, and I agree with so much of it, and I want to thank the members of the community that have been pointing things out and bringing things forward, because what this really gets down to is kind of a justice, fairness, and we all have this problem, and I sincerely mean we have schools that are not the most diverse in the planet, and our own experience, we've had to go out and hire consultants to work, and it's not equity and work diversity, and these things are not simple. And I understand clearly that you guys, I think you're trying very hard, but we have this problem. And for the 10 years that I've been sitting here, year after year, it has seemed like no matter what you did, you just couldn't get these subgroup populations to increase. And so rather than the definition of insanity, which is to just do the same thing over and over again and expect a different result, I really wanted to hear something different this time. And basically puts me in a position of, you guys are a wonderful school, you do a great job. I'm proud of you, people are very proud of you, but we do have this particular issue. So on balance, though I am disappointed that we are not doing much more, we are doing some things, there are improvements, and I know you guys are going to be committed to do more. So I'm going to support the renewal, but I look forward to working with you, and maybe you can help us as well. But this issue has got to improve with the Novato Charter School when it comes to the diversity of your enrollment, and I look forward to succeeding at a higher level going forward. So that's what I had to say. So if you care to make a motion? Okay.
So I made the motion that we approve the renewal of the charter school with the Novato Unified School District.
Okay. All right. So then, does there anyone want to make a second to that? It's the recommendation.
That we approve the renewal for.
Okay. So does anyone want to make a second to that? Okay.
Sure.
Okay, sure. We have a second. So now I have a first and a second to accept the recommendation.
Crazy.
And so Derek,
And then we have a comment from Trustee Cooper.
And so my only comment is, or question rather, is there any language, so we're doing a great job of communicating once a year, it sounds like. Is there any language we can, or some kind of mechanism to be a little more specific, saying in a year, this is what we want to do? We want to look at and have a check-in about this specific issue. Because that's what we're all talking about.
And so, as Terry stated, that the MOU is the contract that governs any charter school. And in there it says, you'll do this, you'll pay us this amount of money, this is our responsibility. And so you could put language in there.
An addendum, or
you could do in the MOU and say that that the charter school will bring an annual report to the Board of Trustees that outlines progress towards goals. again, as Terry said, the LCAP is what is looking at closing the achievement gap. You may put something in there that to be more involved with the development of the LCAP, which would then also have staff be involved in it, something like that. And so that is a mechanism. But again, I would say that I believe that we, and I'll say staff, on the direction of the board, first need to sit down and clearly communicate what goals it is that the board would like. Saying mirror the population is a very broad goal. And I sincerely say that what was communicated to the charter school, they complied with your request. So I think we first need do it in the MOU or direct staff at the annual report that these are the things and you want to develop goals, because we haven't clearly done that.
So I think, just want to check, we bring it back to what we have as a motion to accept the recommendation as is, and I have a second for that, and I can call the question when we're done discussing it. But then the question I have for Trustee Cooper, are you asking the motioners to amend their motion?
Yes,
at
I
this
am.
point? Okay, so could you clarify to the people motioning what that would be or what that would sound like? I just,
And I'm
parliamentary,
addressing
that's
Maria,
where
and
we're at in the process.
I guess just, and you maybe could help me with the verbiage and the language, but my intent would be at the end, meet once a year. So
We do.
go ahead, and my suggestion would be approve the MOU for 5 years with the stipulation that we come back, the two parties meet within a year to discuss this issue that we've been talking about.
Which is a regular report that we would do anyway, right?
We do a regular report now. Annually, they come before the board, and typically it's more of a program. And so certainly you can direct staff to do that and say that, I mean, we do need to begin with the outline of what are the goals that the board wants. And then you direct staff to work with the charter school to help achieve that. And so when a trustee said that not as many changes had occurred, that there were significant changes when a board, the charter school went before the board and changed policy. And that hadn't happened in the last 5 years, not directly. And I'm certain you can come speak to this, but I think that was a change that maybe we as staff didn't highlight as strongly as we should have, that there was change by their board on policy. So I think that shows that there is significant. But again, to the point, I'm trying to help you,
Right. So,
Trustee
well,
Cooper.
let me take a shot at it. So how about we have, rather than we amend the motion, that we basically move forward on we move forward on the vote that we have presented before us, but and we have consensus direction to staff to work with the charter school to develop more than just this annual fiscal report. I'm sort of speaking general terms, but I'm trying to get us to conduct the business at hand, and I'd like to get to that point. So I think it was Trustee Miller was next, but the motioner, my suggestion to the motion is that we move ahead, so that's not amending the motion, and I don't know what you guys want to do, but that we do direct staff to try to get farther on this particular issue. So that's my suggestion. I'm going to recognize Trustee Miller, who is waiting.
I support moving the motion the way it is, because I don't think we know enough to put a formal motion before. I think direction to staff is, after this conversation this evening, is a strong, we'll get results that we need and can then take advantage of it in a formal board action. So I would support moving on the motion we have. But I would also like to add some dimension to that conversation that we're going to have. This district has engaged with a national equity project because the issue of program availability to all of our students is not true on every one of our 14 campuses. And while we're talking about the charter school this evening, under the leadership of our superintendent and our new director of curriculum, we are clearly moving down the path of making sure institutional barriers are broken down in cases where they appear on our program. So is it true that we have minority population participation in the MSA program? Is it true we have minority population participation in the STEM program? Is it true, and name other programs, we have, I think, a significant amount of work to do this year. We've got the right superintendent, we've got the right curriculum, director of curriculum instruction, we got the right advisors. I invite the charter school to come and participate, but I think direction to staff is going to take us a long way down this road, and I would like to look at this a year from now. But I would suggest we adopt the motion as is, and then ask staff to come back to us a year from now relative to the charter school specifically, but we're going to be having this conversation about every program in this district because there's doors closed in this district right now. Don't fool yourself.
Okay, so, absolutely.
Of course. A woman with a thought, oh my.
Well, just a couple things.
of the
One thing is, I just want to reassure the board that charter school staff and NUSD staff, we are in regular communication. And I'm happy to keep that going. I have felt so positive about the communication and the relationship that I have had, that we have had as a school with staff, and I am 100% committed to that. I'm an impatient person by nature. I work on this a lot. And I understand that, and because generally I want the changes that I see out there on the horizon made yesterday. And I recognize that there are not as many changes as you would like to have seen. I do feel like there have been changes. There has been increase. There have been changes in policies. And we also have to be intentional about how we go about that, for not just our school, but for all schools. Because if we rush into it too quickly, we can have unintentional consequences. So, and I just want to reassure you finally that you're meeting no resistance from the charter school.
Yeah.
I have said over and over again, I personally am committed. I took my children and lived in Mexico for 18 months so that they're both bilingual. My sister-in-law is Mexican. They're raising their family bilingually. My own family reflects this. You have no resistance from me or from anybody at the charter school. I'm completely there with you. I do want to be intentional about it, and I'm willing to support this. So I just really want to reassure you, and that I'm there.
Yep.
I'm signed up.
Yep.
Yes, absolutely. We're here to work with you, to hear from you.
I just want to broaden the conversation a bit and touch on a subject that Ross said about program availability. And I want to invite the district and staff and the schools to once again accept our invitation that we've done over the years to outreach our best practices. We've been insistent on trying to live true to the nature of what made charter schools, why they were created. It was not for them to create bubbles of sanity or diversity or ethnic purity. It was more so that they could go out, find new ways of engaging kids in learning, new methods, and then coming back and benefiting the districts that they serve. So let's do this for the 7,000 kids, not just the 20 that we can possibly bring in, but we've been always willing to share our practices to benefit the 7,000 kids in the district, and we stand ready to do that.
Okay, so I'm going to reiterate basically that I think staff has a clear idea what it is we're after here, how to go about it, and I think we have cooperation on the part of NCS. So I'm looking for to take a vote, and I just want to see if we got nods on that.
Okay, so
But
first
okay,
of all,
so we're not ready.
withdraw
We're
that.
not ready.
I'm going to withdraw my
Trustee Cooper.
request to amend the trustee Aguirre's motion.
Okay.
Just to clear the slate.
Thank you. All right, and so trustee Mack, are we ready to vote, or do you have a final?
I just need to ask a question and kind of make a statement. I think we as a board have not done enough to your point, to clarify what we're looking for, to provide guidance. And I think we need to do that. And I would ask that we modify the motion to require, ask, whatever, the board to commit to having a set of metrics, a small set of metrics, manageable, that articulates the goals we want for equity in terms of ELs, FRLs. I mean, because you bring up a great point. Is it race? Is it categorization? Clarify that we commit, as part of your thing, that we commit to doing that within the next, whatever's reasonable, 3 months, 6 months, 5 months, something like that. So that then we can actually start having a very clear conversation, because I will say this, I agree, the relationship is strong. And I agree that if we give the guidance, the school will follow through in trying to achieve it as best they can. I totally get that. But I can't approve this blanketly without having the board committed to providing that guidance.
Okay, so I'm just going back to the maker and the second to see what you guys want to do.
So I see your point as far as, you want to see some matrix. And I think that by having these changes, I think that we will have results. And I think a year, when we do get the report, we will see those changes. And so personally, I agree with you that also as a trustees, we should be more involved in helping them. Some of us have knocked on doors with bilingual flyers and gone shopping and to the shopping malls and passed out those flyers. So some of us have done that. And so, but I agree with Ross and with Trustee Millerick that we should, so the way it's read here, it's to approve of the Novato Charter School K-8 Charter Renewal Petition, including approval of the Fifth Amendment Memorandum of Understanding and Lease Facilities Agreement. So that's this, and that has been the change. So.
Okay, so I have a first. Do I still have a second on this? I'm going to call a question. All those in favor of the recommendation? I have. All right, 5-4. Those against? 1 and 1 absent. All right, thank you all for a great engaging conversation, and I know all of us are going to do better on this particular issue. Thank you guys for working with us, and congratulations on your renewal. We look forward to another 20 years. Okay, so we now have important work to do here in relation to being effective educators. And we have our Director of Curriculum and Instruction, Julia Kempke, who's going to present item E.
Good evening. Thank you for having me this evening. This item before you is new monies coming to the district based on a bill signed by Governor Brown in September 2015. And what this requires us to do is set forth a plan to identify how we're going to use this funding. The funding is to increase the effectiveness of teachers, administrators, and paraprofessional educators. And it's specific to support 4 different activities. Beginning teacher, administrator support and mentoring, professional development, coaching, and support services for teachers who have been identified as needing improvement, professional development for teachers aligned with the state content standards, and then to promote educator quality. And this one's a little bit more broad: training, mentoring, coaching, certificated staff, and training certificated staff to support effective teaching and learning. The funds have to be spent by July 1st, 2018, so we have 3 years to spend our portion that we've been given. The California Department of Education has provided Novato Unified School District with one-time funds of $644,559. And you'll see in the plan before you, we've set this forth to be spent in a few different ways. The biggest chunk going towards our beginning teacher support. through MCOE. This is also known as BITSA. It's what we're required to do, or what teachers are required to do to clear their credential. And we have a program through MCOE that we're currently supporting with other funds that we can now use our new funds through the Educator Effectiveness to support this program for the next 2 years. The other area is NGSS implementation, the Next Generation Science Standards. These are the new science standards that are coming on board next year. We're going to have the field test of the standards. The following year is the pilot, and then the following year after that, 2018, is the actual implementation of the real test. So we have a lot of training, just like we did with math and English, to do with our teachers. So we're using a portion of this funds to support our science teachers. We've been attending rollouts through the CDE with other funds, so now we can use these Educator Effectiveness because it does fall in line with the activities that are appropriate for this. And then also sending our teachers to the California Science Teachers Association, who have an annual conference, and teachers will be going to that in the fall. The other support area is for our new administrators. Because of new laws for how administrators have to clear the credential, it's a lot more expensive for them to clear their credentials. So we're providing an additional support to our new administrators so they can clear their credentials. And that's done through a variety of different organizations approved by the district. The next one is our work with the Buck Institute. This is supporting our attendance at a conference called PBL World, as well as sending a good chunk of teachers to a institute that is being held here at San Marin. It also, you'll see this, the last item there is for the Summer Institute, and that is to support teachers to go to that event at San Marin for 3 days. And so we're going to give them a stipend for curriculum development. And what the teachers will be attending is either a PBL 101, which is an introductory course for PBL, PBL 201 for some of our more veteran, or not veteran, but experienced teachers in PBL, and then an instructional coaching strand. We're also sending every single administrator to either a PBL Leadership Academy at PBL World, which is in Napa in June, or to the Institute at San Marin. So this funding is actually very exciting for us because we're able to do a lot around our goals of increasing the instances that students are able to participate in projects. I think we have a really good plan in place for project-based learning that I'll have a better full-blown plan around that specifically that will come to you in the future. We're still working through some of the details along with the contract with the Buck Institute. So again, the plan before you is in those 4 areas. We actually did not include anything in teachers who necessarily need additional support, but otherwise each one of those areas we've covered. So let me know any questions you have, comments, further clarification.
So do we have any questions for Dr. Kemp? Is it Dr. Kempke yet?
Hey, congratulations.
Thank you, yes. Thursday, it's official.
You
I'm
saw
graduating.
how I slipped that in there.
Thank you.
We're proud of you. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Dr. Kempke, any questions for Trustee Mack?
So my quick read is $664,000 provided by the state, must be spent by 2018. All good, get it, like the plan. My concern is what happens after 2018. So this, this kind of money's coming in, and we're, it's kind of designed in a one-time mode, and yet in reality, this is recurring type of expenses. So maybe this is more of a question for Karen almost, in that, how are we going to find the money to keep this going after 2018? What's the thought process there? How much of the roughly $300K per year we have now will we need to add into our budget to cover these things, or not?
So I will address the part I can, and then we'll see if you need Karen to further clarify. Many of the activities that we're including in here, we're trying to build capacity in our teachers. I mentioned the instructional coaching strand, so our instructional coaches will get to the point where they actually can put on some of this training themselves, and so we won't have to necessarily bring in other people to do those trainers. The NGSS, similar to 3 years ago, I brought forward the Common Core plan, which is very similar. And we've done a lot of training with our math and English teachers that now has died down because those teachers are in full process of implementing, I can't even talk, implementing those standards. And so those types of things kind of transition out as the teachers have become competent at the standards as they move through. And then for some of them, you know, I think we're just fortunate that we're able to use this funding right now for something like BITSA. And that would, you know, we've been funding that through other sources for the last however many years BITSA has been in existence. So we just would move that back into it. So we're lucky that it frees up some monies for us to do some of the other good work that we're doing.
Okay, good. So any other comments or questions? Then
I'll move that we approve it.
do I have a second from Trustee Mulrick? So, and I'll just briefly comment, and I say that I look forward to working with you, Trustee Mack, as we go forward on our future budgets to develop the sort of systemic change that these funds and these programs are intended to foster within our own systems. So I look forward to working with you on building them into the budget. Okay, so although I have a first, a second, all those in favor? I have 6-4 and 1 absent. And thank you very much, Doctor.
Thank you very
Look forward
much.
to working with you. Right. Almost. Well, it's time, you know. She's already presented, and I might add, I believe that's from the University of California, Berkeley. Yeah.
Greek theater? Greek theater?
That was Zellerbach, yeah. Very cool.
Okay, great. Let's, our next item is approval of new course outlines, and we have our coordinator of secondary curriculum and instruction, Megan Pettis. Megan, welcome.
Thank you. Good evening. In an effort to ensure that Novato Unified School District offers current and relevant courses for high school programs, staff have developed 10 new course outlines to be offered starting in the fall of 2016. And the new course outlines were developed by teachers at the sites. Some are CTE through the Integrated Institute with UC, some are for English language learners, some are AP courses, and then the course outlines were reviewed by the teachers from the other high school to ensure that there's consistency, and also submitted to UC for approval. And the courses that we're seeking approval for are AP Calculus BC, AP Comparative Government, AP Computer Science Principles, Applied Chemistry and Biotechnology, Contemporary Global Issues, Robotics, Senior Engineering STEM, the Physics of Making Things, the Technology of Biology, and the ELD Summer Intensive course. So you can see a broad range of courses designed to meet our students' needs and be of high interest. We're also seeking approval for some technical revisions to already approved existing courses, ranging from personal finance to ensure that it is approved by UC as a math course. The College Board changed the prerequisite for AP Physics, so trying to make sure that that's in line. And then some of the subject area designations as listed.
Is that it? Megan, is that it?
That's it.
Okay. Board? Trustee Mack, question?
So sorry for dragging things on all night tonight, guys, but. Yeah. You're funny. So one thing has come up with me for the past couple weeks, ever since at the facilities meeting, I brought up the crazy idea of one high school, is a lot of people have approached me, a lot. And one of the things they keep saying is their frustration with having to choose geography over course offerings. And you know, I'm seeing these courses and wonderful courses, but invariably it's either at one school or the other. And there's a frustration out there, and I don't know what we can do, but people are being forced to make decisions on what school to go to and having to compromise based on either a budget, they can't get to that school because they just can't do it every day, and therefore they have to take other courses, or they go to one school and it has some of the courses they want, but it doesn't have all the courses they want. Or maybe the kid is an artist and a STEM kid. So I would just ask the board to start thinking about that. This is something I thought I was just kind of bringing it up on a lark, but I've received a lot of feedback, and that is just one of the many strains I've heard.
Sure. So that is good feedback. And if you maybe recalls a little bit before you were on the board, we are looking at a freshman transition course, and more information will be coming forward regarding that. And it does potentially address the geography component. It's still early to determine kind of where we are with that, but that will be coming down the line as a potential change for the fall of 2017. Also, if you've never looked at the course catalogs at both high schools offer hundreds of courses that cover all subject areas, and there are comparable offerings at both high schools, obviously with focuses in our specialized programs, but certainly there's every type of course essentially a kid could want at either high school. Choices do have to be made. There are some scheduling constraints, but certainly we could go over that with you if you'd like more detailed information about all of the courses offered. This is just a small snapshot of the new courses coming forward.
Right. Thank you.
Good? Oh, Trustee Miller comes here.
So these course descriptions are not pinned to a particular school, right?
Correct.
So I move the recommendation of staff to get these approved so we can then plan.
Okay, excellent. So the second by Trustee Mack. All those in favor? I see 6 affirmative and 1 absent. Thank you, Director Pettis. Okay, moving on, we have the first reading of Board Policy 6152.1, placement of mathematic courses. And we have Dr. Kempke back to present this
Thank you,
policy.
yeah, thank you. So it's rare that you actually kind of get excited about a state law, and this is one that I actually am really proud that the state has put into law, really what it is speaking to, and I'll go into all the very specifics of it, but really what the essence of the law says is that we need to ensure that students have the opportunity when they walk into a high school mathematics classroom that they're placed accurately so that they are able to meet the college entrance requirements. We are not necessarily in a situation in our district where students are walking in and are being misplaced. I think I'm really happy and proud of the work that our math teachers have done to use multiple measures to place students, but it has been an issue in a lot of schools across the state where students walk into their 9th grade math class and they're put in a class below Algebra 1. When students are placed in a class that's below Algebra 1, they're placed in a class that's below grade level, and that's a really serious situation for them. It means that they have some, makeup to do. So this law requires districts to adopt board policy to ensure that placement is done in a fair, objective, and transparent manner. And like I mentioned, technically, we have a placement process in place already, and which means that the board policy is just putting this, down in record, essentially. Included in this California Mathematics Placement Act requires that the governing boards serving students entering grade 9 have a few things in their board policy, which you'll see are in our board policy. Systematically takes multiple objective academic measures of pupil performance into consideration. As of right now, we consider 4 different measures when we place students, one of them being their grade, but there's many others. Include 1 placement checkpoint within the first month of school year to ensure accurate placement and permit reevaluation of individual student progress. Requires an annual examination of pupil placement data to ensure that students are not held back in disproportionate manner on the basis of their race, ethnicity, gender, or socioeconomic background. Requires a report on the results of the annual examination by the local educational agency to the governing board or body. So this is something that you will see in the fall once we've made those placements on what that looks like. Offers clear and timely recourse for each pupil and his or her parent legal guardian who questions the student's placement. So the proposed NUSD board policy 6152.1 includes all the required components and follows the California School Board Association's recommended language. So we're following all that the recommendations from the California School Board Association. The other thing that I want to mention is that we'll be working with the math teachers to set forth administrative regulations to go along with this, to put more specific details about what are the metrics we're using and that kind of thing. In our first year, I wanted to have a chance for the teachers to do a draft of that, and then we'll finalize that in the fall after we've made the placements. The other thing that I want to mention is that last year you approved a course called Algebra Fundamentals. This is our only and one course that is kind of considered that below grade level course. And we've been very, very diligent in ensuring that students that are placed in that course are significantly below grade level. They're not working slightly below grade level. They're working at a point where they really do need that support. The other thing I want to mention is that we identified a math intervention software that has been used in that classroom, and students in there we've found have made really great strides with this software, so that some of them will be getting Algebra 1 credit this year, which is something that we haven't seen in the past with any of these other kind of below grade level math classes. We still have a lot of work to do with Algebra 1, there's no doubt, but I feel with more data and ensuring students are placed properly, we'll begin to make some better progress on this. So without further ado, I want to make sure that you understand each part of the policy. Again, there's the metrics, there's the checkpoint, there's the placement that we'll be taking a look at, ensuring that students aren't placed at disproportionate rates based on any of those subgroup categories. And we'll be back here in the fall to give you an update on how those placements look. So each one of those things are included in the board policy, and like I said, we'll be developing an AR to go along with this as well that will show to you in a Friday update in the near future.
We have Trustee Milrick. I have a comment.
I will too, of course.
Yeah. One's a procedural comment. The board, 4 years ago, the board would review the policy and the administrative regulations together, and under the prior administration, that practice stopped. I would like us to reinstitute that process. So when they come forward, both the board, the policy and the administrative regulations come forward together. So I'd like to have that conversation at some point.
No, I think that that's. So I agree, and I mean, it may not be the case. They may not be actually developed yet, but
right.
we would expect to see the ARs.
Practice change over the last 4 years that I'd like to reverse.
Right, and I think that has been the direction of the board. To my knowledge, there's no opposition on the part of staff or superintendent. So when those are developed, or you'll bring those forward as well.
Absolutely,
Okay.
yeah.
So
they're still under development, so
that's fine. Yeah, as long as the issues, I was speaking to them and agreed.
Yeah.
Relative to the issue of algebra, I'm thrilled that the state has a law. I'm thrilled that we are more focused on this. We've done this over the last year, obviously. But this district and the state of California in general has used algebra and mathematics as a gatekeeper. And we have, in my personal opinion, underperformed in the area of mathematics in terms of helping kids get through this gatekeeping skill that allows them career progress. I've got cases in my personal family where somebody, because of what an academic person thought of them personally, were tracked off the academic path and blocked from basically ever being able to go to college because somebody in the 8th grade or the 6th grade made a choice about their personal judgment of somebody's either career or family or other issues. And it doesn't have to be racial or ethnic, it can be cultural. And I've seen this abuse happen, and I am continually want us as a district to focus in these areas that are gatekeeping, be it either into English or particularly mathematics, to make sure that we don't do that in this district, that we don't institutionalize that. So I'm glad to have a policy that helps us do that. I think it's something we should be focusing on. We have over the last couple of years, and I'm glad we're going to continue to do that because the abuse is, we're an institution and we've done Bad things have happened to people out of bureaucracy, and it needs to stop.
All right, thank you. Trustee Mack, you were next, didn't
Yeah, be a bit of an equity hawk as well. What would be useful, if we can, is to see a draft of this accountability report as soon as possible. I would really like to understand what it is, what it's going to look like, so that it doesn't come out and we look at it and go, well, we were hoping for more, or didn't know about this, so that we can actually really work on getting that thing ironed out so that it can tell us what we need to know to make these decisions. I think you were here in this room about 3 or 4 years ago when we had a very heated, it's the first time I met you, I think, a very heated math discussion with a lot of parents
Yes.
about 8th grade algebra. And I tried to be the reasonable parent in the room and say that,
It didn't work, did it?
yeah, exactly. But anyway, so obviously it's a very emotional topic, but I totally agree with Ross. This is a gatekeeper, and it kind of goes back to what you're just talking about with regard to the other programs, whether it be the charter school, MSA, or STEM. We need to do, we as a board need to do a better job of finding a way to get these accountability reports to really do the job. So maybe we need to do that for other programs as well. But anyway, that's what I would ask. If we get that draft as soon as possible so we could help you get it to where we think it'll help us make decisions.
Okay.
But that's doable.
What we can do is we could give you an idea of who's being placed in that course that I just spoke to. So the algebra fundamentals, and we can do a breakdown of what that looks like and the metrics that we've used to do that.
Okay.
Good first
The
step.
sooner
It'd
we
be
get
a
on the
start.
process, the better. Thanks.
For the reasons that have already been stated, I really felt this was like a really big deal. And I'm not really a big fan of legislation, and we're going to make you do this stuff that comes down from the state, but I like this one.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wondering if I'm wondering if, should we start, is there going to be, it's too early to tell maybe, but we may be looking at master schedule changes. I mean, this could change things, and I don't know if we're there yet, but I think we're headed in the right direction, and I think we need to provide the resources. We may find that we're going to have to provide the resources, the additional class space, and in dealing with this issue, because we know we can do better when it comes to math.
We'll
All right.
need more math teachers.
Thank you. That's
probably
what I
the
meant by
biggest-
master schedule, resources, money. We're going to need math teachers. All right. You guys, we have a recommendation. I would entertain a motion to accept the recommendation
I'll
as
second.
written. I have a first by trustee Mack, seconded by trustee Aguila. Is there any additional comment? I'll call it the question. All those in favor? Maria? I have 6-4 and 6 affirmative and 1 absent. So thank you very much. And
Thank
again,
you.
congratulations.
All right, thank you.
Okay, we are now on item H, the Novato Unified School District's initial proposal to reopen contract negotiations with our Classified School Employees Association, CSEA, for the 2016-17 school year. And we have Chris Koska, our Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources, here to present.
All right. So Government Code 3547 requires that initial proposals for negotiations come before the board in public session. And as we're about to enter into negotiations with CSEA, that's why we're here. You saw CSEA's openers at the last meeting, and these are ours. There's much in common and a little difference between the two. The articles that we would propose opening are Article 1, recognition, Article 3, salary, Article 5, employee benefits, and Article 22, which would be a new article, and that would be around discipline. So after you've had an opportunity to provide any input or give any suggestions, we will commence negotiations with CSEA.
Okay, so it is to the board for questions, clarifications, and comments. Let me just say that on behalf of the board, we look forward to entering into these negotiations, and we're here to build on that partnership and look forward to working things out together. So, with that said, I would entertain a motion to accept the openers. I have a first by trustee Mack, seconded by trustee Cooper. All those in favor? I have 6 in the affirmative and 1 absent, so that's good. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you,
So,
Chris.
thank you, Chris. All right, and so we had earlier,
I pulled item F.
item F, so trustee Cooper.
And the only reason I pulled this is there's some new dates on this, and I thought it'd be smart for us to discuss and make sure that we're all comfortable with and gonna be able to attend these meetings. So I guess the ones I had questions about were the ones at the bottom, the special board meetings and their Saturday meetings, so just wanted to suggest maybe we have a
So,
discussion.
so this is just an opportunity to, if some have suggested that possibly we could move a special board meeting on August 13th to the following week. And certainly, it's a long ways off, but we would amend this draft, if that's okay with the board, to move. We're still going to have it. We would just do it on the 20th, I think, instead of the 13th. So you're happy with the 20th?
Yeah, 20th works.
20th works? Would it, so, okay, so then as amended, I'll, the maker or the puller, a motion.
The other 2 dates are fine, January, no conflict there. January, you have your calendar out. Debbie, I know you.
She probably does know exactly they're okay.
She does. So with that, I'd move approval.
Move approval as amended.
With the change of August 13th to the 20th.
Okay, seconded by trustee Milrick. All those in favor, 6 in affirmative, 0 against. That passes, and I want to thank everyone for sticking it out and getting through the meeting. And meeting is adjourned, and we'll see y'all later.